Chapter 1441. The Curse in Area 9-58. After reading the information, he returned the jade token to Yuzu and paid the points. A mere 1 million points is nothing to Lin Mo's current wealth. If you don't look closely, you won't even notice the change in points. Yuzu smiled with her eyes. Captain finished reading so quickly. Captain's soul realm is really enviable. If it were me, I really couldn't finish reading it in less than 10 days. Looking at the captain's appearance, he should have found the information he needed. Lin Mo read very quickly, finishing in less than half a day. And Yuzu thought it would take at least 10 days. The difference between their souls is very huge. Lin Mo took a sip of tea. I did find it, verifying one of my guesses. If I take the mission, I'll tell you what needs to be said if anything happens. Yuzu frowned. Does the captain really want to take this mission? Not necessarily, I still need some information. Amid Yuzu's worries, Lin Mo left the trading center and went to the military merit office. A transaction of 320 million points can be exchanged for 32,000 military merits, directly pushing his rank to second-order commandant. At the military merit office, Lin Mo met an old acquaintance, Meng Gang. After not seeing each other for several years, Meng Gang was still managing the military merit office, but his rank had risen from second-order sergeant to third-order sergeant. Even after so many years, Meng Gang still addressed Lin Mo as captain. From Meng Gang's mouth, Lin Mo learned why he didn't need to perform a rank promotion mission. Not everyone has to perform a rank promotion mission to rise from sergeant to commandant. The commandant's rank promotion mission mainly considers combat power. As long as the combat power meets the requirements, the promotion can be satisfied. Generally speaking, as long as the combat power reaches God King 7th Order, it is enough for rank promotion. Even if there is a mission consideration, it is conducted in the Human Emperor Network, and the Human Emperor Network gives the evaluation. This can eliminate some of my own strength factors, making it impossible to use magic weapons to create false combat power. However, Lin Mo doesn't need it at all. The Human Emperor Network's evaluation of Lin Mo's comprehensive strength has reached the Little God Sovereign level, which is more than enough for promoting to commandant. If Lin Mo wants to go further and reach the general level, then he needs to have the combat power of a God Sovereign realm, which will be much more difficult. After exchanging for military merits, Lin Mo left the military merit office and sent a message to Zhu Qiwu. Although Fortress Number 10 and the Human Emperor Network are very far apart, he knew that Zhu Qiwu would definitely receive the message. Although Zhu Qiwu is not in Fortress Number 1, he seems to always maintain a mysterious connection with the Human Emperor Network. Sure enough, only 2 minutes after the message was sent, Lin Mo received a response from Zhu Qiwu. The reply only had 5 words, "Come to Fortress 10. Lin Mo stepped into the teleportation array and headed to Fortress Number 10. Not everyone is qualified to go to Fortress Number 10. You need to be authorized to enter. Obviously, Lin Mo had obtained Zhu Qiwu's authorization and successfully activated the teleportation array. To get from Fortress 1 to Fortress 10, you need to transfer several times, passing through Fortress 2, 3, and 4. Then, from Fortress 4, you jump to Fortress 6, and after passing through Fortress 8, you finally reach Fortress 10. The entire teleportation process spans over 100,000 light years, which is extremely long. This teleportation is the longest in Lin Mo's cultivation career. When he appeared in Fortress 10, before he had even left the teleportation array, his body trembled slightly. An invisible force swept in from all directions of the fortress and landed on him. The feeling was somewhat similar to the squeezing pressure in the Land of Wonders. This fortress is different. Lin Mo's first reaction told him that Fortress 10 was different from the other fortresses. Then he saw Fortress 10. Although it had the same heavy military style, it was fundamentally different from the other fortresses. Every building here was engraved with formations. Lin Mo felt that once these formations were activated, the entire fortress could transform into an incredibly terrifying combat weapon. Immediately afterward, a beam of light descended from the sky and landed in front of Lin Mo, forming a guiding beacon. Zhu Qiwu's voice sounded in Lin Mo's ear, "Follow the beacon and come over." Following the beacon, he flew and left Fortress 10. Halfway through the flight, Lin Mo felt like he had passed through an invisible membrane. Formation. Looking down, Fortress 10 in his sight became somewhat blurred. He then realized that the formations of Fortress 10 were constantly in operation. However, the operation of the formations required a large amount of energy at all times. Where did this energy come from? Unlike Fortresses 1 through 9, the formations in the fortresses were always turned off when there was no war. Lin Mo looked at Fortress 10, which was getting smaller and smaller under his feet, and felt that Fortress 10 had a familiar feeling. A flash of inspiration struck his mind, and Lin Mo knew what Fortress 10 was. It was the War God Fortress, not a replica, but the real War God Fortress. The replica of the War God Fortress already had the combat power of a God Emperor Realm Cultivator, so how strong would the real War God Fortress be? Placing the War God Fortress here indicated that this place was indeed very dangerous and also very important. Zhu Qiwu sat here like a statue, motionless. As far as Lin Mo knew, Zhu Qiwu had been sitting for thousands of years without changing his position. But it wasn't that he really didn't move. Only his main body didn't move, and his clones would occasionally go out. The ones Lin Mo had met before were all clones of Zhu Qiwu, not his main body. However, Zhu Qiwu had said that his clones were somewhat unique and different from others. The clones could also be regarded as the main body, and the difference wouldn't be too great. Seeing the main body for the first time, Lin Mo felt that the main body was more serious and deeply dignified. A peculiar aura surrounded Zhu Qiwu. This was the aura of the other shore. Lin Mo bowed to Zhu Qiwu. "Greetings, senior." "What is it?" Zhu Qiwu's voice was slightly low, as if he was suppressing something. Lin Mo still felt the difference between the clone and the main body. The clone was more easygoing, while the main body seemed a little too serious. Lin Mo said, "I want to ask Senior for some information." Zhu Qiwu glanced at Lin Mo, as if to say, "Just for this?" Lin Mo continued, "Junior wants the information on Area 9 to 58. Upon hearing this, Zhu Qiwu's expression changed slightly. "You want to take on this task?" Lin Mo saw something unusual in Zhu Qiwu's expression. His expression was somewhat complicated. Obviously this task was not simple. Lin Mo said, "I haven't decided to take it on yet, I'm just considering it." Zhu Qiwu thought for a while and threw a jade tablet to Lin Mo. It was the jade tablet that stored the battlefield information, which he had shown Lin Mo last time. "I'll give you 1 minute, Zhu Qiwu said unceremoniously. The value of the information in this jade tablet was immeasurable. Giving Lin Mo a look was already a high regard for him. There wouldn't be too much information about Area 9 to 58. 1 minute was enough. Lin Mo immediately started to check it. There wasn't much information indeed. Lin Mo had already finished reading it in just half a minute and returned the jade tablet to Zhu Qiwu. The information Zhu Qiwu possessed was indeed much richer than that of the Yu family. Lin Mo saw some important information. This area contains the power of curses. Most people didn't trigger the curse, so they didn't complete the task. Some people triggered the curse and died inside. 3 people came back alive, but they were still haunted by the curse and died one after another within half a year after leaving. Chapter 1442. Natural advantage to ignore curses. So that's how it is. After reading the information, Lin Mo couldn't help but be a little shocked. He also possessed curse-type spells, and there were 4 of them. 3 soul-type curses, namely soul burning, which directly attacked the soul curse which reduced various functions of the enemy, and soul poison which caused continuous damage to the soul, as well as time curse which was fused from 3 spells. However, he rarely used the basic curse spells alone, and the most commonly used was the fused time curse. The key was the time acceleration ability of time curse which released the original slow and sustained damage of soul poison in an instant, coupled with the effect of soul burning greatly exceeding the power of the 2. The only pity was that time curse failed to inherit the weakening ability of soul curse on the target. Also, because most of the time he faced enemies whose realm exceeded his own too much, the effect of soul curse's reduction of various attribute functions was originally negligible. But if he faced enemies of the same realm, he wouldn't need to use soul curse at all, and he had countless ways to kill the enemy instantly. Overall, soul curse seemed a bit useless. However, Lin Mo always felt that there were no useless spells, only when they were needed. It was precisely because he possessed curse-type spells that Lin Mo became more interested after reading the information on Area 9 to 58. Seeing the change in Lin Mo's eyes, Zhu Qiwu already knew his decision. His serious voice slowly sounded, "Listen carefully to what I'm going to say next." Lin Mo sat upright and listened attentively. Zhu Qiwu's voice became even lower. In addition to the surface information recorded in the data, there are also some things that are passed down by word of mouth. The 3 people who came back from Area 9 to 58 that year seemed normal, but in fact they were deeply harmed by the curse, and their souls were already disordered. Others thought they were unwilling to say anything, but in fact they couldn't say anything. Later, they were taken over by the military, and we used various methods, but we couldn't remove the curse. Area 9 to 58 has a limit on the realm, and those in the God Emperor realm can't enter. Once you enter inside, then we can't interfere. I can't come in, and those people can't come in. Your life-saving stone will lose its effect. If you go in, you have to think carefully. Your life and death depend entirely on yourself. Everyone has their own path, and you need to walk your own path, so I won't stop you. Whether to go or not, you decide for yourself. Lin Mo respectfully saluted Zhu Qiwu. Thank you for your guidance, Senior. Junior understands. Zhu Qiwu nodded and waved his hand. You can go. He closed his eyes, and Lin Mo didn't linger any longer and turned to leave. Returning to Fortress 10, the battlefield badge glowed slightly when passing through the formation, verifying his identity. On the way back to Fortress 1 by teleportation array, Lin Mo pondered the relevant information in Zhu Qiwu's words. The two corroborated each other, and a lot of situations could be analyzed. First of all, the task in Area 9 to 58 can basically be determined to be an exploration-based task. Secondly, as long as you don't trigger the curse inside, although you can't complete the task, there won't be any danger. Moreover, there will be no punishment for failing such tasks. Once you trigger the curse inside, it means that you have found the key point of the task, but the curse is very dangerous and outsiders can't resolve it. Once cursed, even if you return, you'll only meet death. Those above Divine Venerable can't enter, even those great figures who have set foot on the other shore can't enter, indicating that the restrictions in this area are very strong. The stronger the restrictions, the greater the secrets they often contain. Could it be related to the ancient times? Or is it a special area formed by chaotic rules? With less than 2 years until the 4-star region competition, should I go? Lin Moyu weighed the pros and cons, considering whether to go or not. Curses are terrifying and dangerous in the eyes of others. The attacks of curses are too bizarre, and many curses directly target the soul. Once the soul is severely damaged, it will be difficult to recover. Xiao Sheng is the best example. His soul was severely damaged and almost collapsed, making it impossible to heal. The 3 people who returned earlier were also like this. But Lin Moyu is not afraid of this. He has an ability that others don't have, a passive spell called Status Immunity. Status Immunity Fusion Degree 150%. The master and his summons are immune to all negative statuses, including spells, formations, barriers, curses, and negative laws. He can completely ignore curses. What he needs to consider is only the time issue, whether it will affect the 4-star region competition. On returning to Fortress No. 1, Lin Moyu had already made a decision. Go. The more dangerous the place, the greater the benefits that can be obtained. Whether for curiosity or for greater gains, Lin Moyu feels that he must go. Returning to the mission center, he decisively accepted the mission, and then reopened the teleportation array to go to Star Fortress No. 9. Not long after Lin Moyu accepted the mission, Zhu Qiwu already knew. As Lin Moyu guessed, Zhu Qiwu has always maintained contact with the Human Emperor network. At the same time, he is also concerned about Lin Moyu's every move. He still went. Maybe he can uncover this mystery. I'm also very curious about what's inside. Those people should also be very curious. After so many years, no one has been able to learn the secret. The 9 to 58 area has existed for many years. Over the years, in addition to the human race, countless races and countless powerhouses have entered to explore. The results obtained are nothing more than 3 types. Dying directly inside, or returning with a curse and then dying, and the vast majority of people returning without success. But that's others, not Lin Moyu. Lin Moyu has repeatedly created miracles, perhaps this time he can too. Zhu Qiwu said to himself. He doesn't seem to worry that Lin Moyu will die, but instead has strong expectations. The 9 to 58 area, looking at it from a distance, is like a huge vortex. The vortex has a diameter of over 10 million kilometers, far exceeding ordinary stars. Lin Moyu can feel a powerful force enveloping the entire vortex. The strength of this force gives him a feeling of palpitations. He carefully felt it and gradually discovered some clues. This force seems to have set a critical point, usually hidden, but as long as it exceeds this critical point, it will activate. It will repel all those who approach, whether entering the vortex from the outside or coming out of the vortex. The critical point is the Divine Venerable Realm. As long as it exceeds the Divine Venerable Realm, not only can't you enter, but you can't get out at the same time. Lin Moyu couldn't help but secretly said in his heart, is this force formed naturally, or was it deliberately set up by someone? Is it just to prevent people above Divine Venerable from entering? Or is it also to prevent the existence in the vortex from coming out? In the vortex, is there a greater existence stronger than the Divine Venerable? For a time, there were thousands of thoughts, no matter what the idea, it was just speculation. Only when he enters it himself can he verify it. Lin Moyu found a place in the void and set a return beacon. With this beacon guidance, he can instantly return with a teleportation talisman within a range of tens of millions of kilometers. It may not be useful, but just in case. Entering the unknown, no one can help you, everything must be careful. Chapter 1443 Solid Earth, Useless Skeleton King. Lin Moyu disappeared into the vortex. After entering the vortex, a huge suction force fell on his body, dragging him into the depths of the vortex. Throughout the process, perception was blinded, knowing no direction, no distance, no speed, and even time seemed to stop. Lin Moyu silently counted in his heart, wanting to know how much time had passed and how much distance had been traveled through counting. But under the interference of invisible forces, time seemed to be distorted, and his thinking also appeared to stagnate and interrupt. Counting became useless. Most of the senses were shielded, but with the peak 4th grade soul, he could still feel some abnormalities. Lin Moyu felt like he had passed through layers of diaphragms, and the surrounding atmosphere seemed to have changed, becoming different from the battlefield and different from the great world. Leaving the battlefield, and not in the great world. Lin Moyu said secretly in his heart. This feeling is also different from entering the Yellow Earth Desert before. Whether it is the Yellow Earth Desert or the ancient tomb, although they all have their own rules. But more or less they are somewhat connected to the battlefield and the great world. But now, Lin Moyu can't feel the atmosphere of the battlefield and the great world at all. From this, he judged that he had entered an independent world. I don't know how long it took, finally standing on solid ground. Like a long teleportation ending, the picture in front of him rippled like water, from blurry to clear, and the vision returned to normal after 2 seconds. This is a dim world. The sky is covered with dark clouds, and occasionally light shines through, bringing a little light to the world. The light through the clouds has a deep red color, as if a raging fire is burning behind the thick clouds. But it's very cold around, without the temperature that fire should have. Lin Moyu instinctively wanted to fly up and take a look, but a powerful force rose from the earth, firmly grasping him. Lin Moyu suddenly exerted force, his whole body burst out with golden light, trying to get rid of this force. Under the confrontation between the two, Lin Moyu gained the upper hand, and his body slowly rose into the air. But when he flew to 100 meters above the ground, the suction from the earth suddenly strengthened, making him unable to continue rising. At this time, it is still far from the clouds. Lin Moyu tried several times and it was the same, so he had to land. Then he jumped up with all his strength, his body ejected like a cannonball, instantly surpassing the height of 100 meters. At a height of 200 meters, the pulling force from the earth became stronger again, but at this moment it still couldn't stop Lin Moyu. Until the height of 300 meters, the pulling force became much stronger again. At this moment, the momentum was exhausted, and he had no choice but to fall back to the ground. He jumped up like a cannonball, and fell like a meteor, but the earth did not leave a trace. If it were replaced by ordinary stars, the earth would have cracked long ago, and if it was not handled well, the stars would collapse. It is not difficult for the flesh body of the Divine King realm to blow up the stars with one punch. Immediately afterwards, gray flames burned fiercely, and the huge skeleton throne floated from the air. Before the Skeleton King could stand up from the skeleton throne, an invisible force fell on him. The Skeleton King is too tall, as high as 100,000 meters, just standing there, it can surpass the clouds in the sky. This force comes from the earth, as if there are countless hands, pulling the Skeleton King to the ground. The Skeleton King was suppressed to the ground. The Skeleton King, who has reached the little Divine Venerable realm, is obviously stronger than Lin Moyu, and he tried his best to fight against the pulling force of the earth. The Skeleton King raised his head, and could only raise his head. At this time, the head was about 1,000 meters away from the ground, and could no longer move. 1,000 meters was the Skeleton King's limit. After that, the Skeleton King's head gradually lowered. The lower the head, the less pulling force it experienced. After some attempts, Lin Mo realized that every 100 meters here, the pulling force would suddenly increase. And within this 100-meter range, the pulling force remained constant. With his realm, he could only fly about 100 meters. If it were a second-tier God King, they probably couldn't even fly 100 meters. A first-tier God King could only stand on the ground, unable to even take off. If he relied on his God King body, although he couldn't fly, he could jump to an area of about 300 meters. And the closer he got to the limit, the more he was affected by the pulling force, and his movements would slow down, becoming labored, and his combat power would greatly decline. In other words, he could only exert his strongest combat power in areas below 100 meters. The Skeleton King was too high up and could only lie on the ground. If it tried to stand up, it would probably collapse under the pulling force. Looking towards the sky, he seemed to see layers of invisible barriers, shrouding the entire world. It seems that the way to leave is not to fly upwards. Lin Mo muttered to himself. The reason he did this was to find a way to leave a way out for himself. Clearly, the way to leave was not to ascend, but to find another way. After a brief test, he had determined that this place had similarities and differences with the Yellow Sand Desert and the ancient tomb. The similarities were that they all carried a vast aura, had experienced countless years, and should all be related to the ancient times. The difference was that there was not a trace of the aura of the Great World here, nor was it in the battlefield but an independent world. Even the laws had changed. Here, the laws were extremely thin. As long as one used the laws, their own consumption would greatly increase, making it difficult to replenish. However, this didn't matter to Lin Mo. The Talent Giant Tree was the largest supply warehouse. With a thought, the Skeleton King lying on the ground raised its bone sword with one hand and smashed it on the ground with all its might. Although he didn't use spells and the posture was wrong, he couldn't exert his full strength. But with the Skeleton King's combat power, this sword strike was stronger than a 9th-tier God King's full blow. The ground trembled slightly, and a small crack appeared. The crack was only the thickness of a finger, no more than a meter in length, and only a dozen centimeters in depth. The Skeleton King's sword, which was enough to blast an 803-star, could only leave such a crack on the ground. The Skeleton King's own power was not restricted, it was all because this land was too solid. Lin Mo felt that the solidity of the earth was comparable to God Venerable level materials, second only to the black material in the ancient tomb and the mysterious manor. From the strength of the earth, it can be judged that the level here is very high. If you encounter an enemy, I am afraid that the strength will also be very strong. Similarly, if there is a curse here, then the power of the curse will also be extremely strong. I don't know if my passive spell can withstand it. Lin Mo knew very well that although passive spells were magical, they also had limits. If the attack encountered was too strong, it would also lose its effect. He put away the useless Skeleton King and summoned a large number of skeleton god warriors. Here, the Skeleton King had lost its use. It can't be said that it's completely useless. If needed, it can also be summoned to suppress the enemy. It is true suppression, relying on the huge body to suppress the enemy. More than 1 million skeleton god warriors spread out, centered on Lin Mo, and rushed in all directions. In the case of an unknown road, Lin Mo still used the oldest and most practical routine, letting the skeletons explore the road for himself. The light-speed AA Lich sat on Lin Mo's shoulder, providing spell support for the skeleton god warriors. The skeleton god warriors turned into streamers, but the speed was far less than in the Great World. Here, the ability of the light-speed AA Lich was greatly suppressed, and the speed was only 1% of normal. Chapter 1444 almost killed himself. The skeletons ran farther and farther, and a map had already been generated in Lin Mo's mind. The mysterious veil of this land began to gradually be revealed. The ability of the light-speed AA Lich was restricted, and Lin Mo quickly knew why it was restricted. The ability of the Lich depends on the law, and the light-speed AA Lich naturally depends on the law of light speed. Now in this world, the breath of law is extremely weak. Although it can't be said that there is none at all, it is pitifully less than in the Great World. Not only is it difficult to replenish, but even the effect is greatly reduced. The skeletons used light transformation, and indeed turned into streamers, but the speed was only 1% of the usual. Each second can only run 1500 kilometers. Lin Mo can only hope that this world is not too big, otherwise the speed of 1500 kilometers per second seems very fast, but it is actually a drop in the bucket. He has become accustomed to the distance scale in the great world, often tens of millions, hundreds of millions of kilometers, and even light years are used to calculate. In the face of this distance scale, 1500 kilometers per second is no different from a snail crawling. The world was dim, and the land was solid and flat, looking like a huge plain. There was no grass here, as if there was no vitality. In the undead vision, there was no soul fire seen either. After a full half an hour, the skeletons had run nearly 3 million kilometers. Lin Mo finally saw something else. It was a giant flower bud about 50 meters high, not yet in full bloom, as if it had already died. The huge leaves had withered, and the undead vision could not see the soul fire either. The undead vision only has gray and white colors, and cannot see the true color of the flower bud. Half an hour later, Lin Mo came to the flower bud and carefully looked at it. The flower bud showed a blood red color, which was a very stunning color. Lin Mo felt the traces of time from it. Even though it had died, it still maintained a bright color, and had not changed in countless years. The roots of the flower bud were deep in the ground bones, and being able to take root and sprout on such solid ground had already proved its extraordinariness. It was about to bloom, but suddenly ushered in death. The surface is not injured, but the soul is erased. Obviously, that power is very strong. The diaresis. I don't know what level the flower bud is. Lin Mo didn't need to guess blindly, his finger flicked out a ball of undead flames. The undead flames fell on the flower bud and began to burn fiercely. On the solid and vast earth, a gray flame of up to 50 meters high appeared. The wind suddenly rose around, whistling, blowing on the undead flames, pulling the flames into long thin lines. The flower bud moved, and the soul began to be reborn. It stretched in the flames, slowly retracted, and wrapped itself tighter. What is happening now is what it was doing before it died. Lin Mo realized that his judgment was wrong. The flower bud in front of him was not about to bloom, but was shrinking. It's just that before it had completely shrunk, it encountered an attack and its soul was erased. A huge soul fire appeared in the undead vision, the flame became more and more vigorous, and quickly reached the God King realm, and then broke through the God King and reached the God Venerable. This flower was at the God Venerable realm before it died. Lin Mo's heart shook, as if confirming his previous guess. He guessed from the beginning that the creatures here would be very strong, but he didn't expect them to be so strong. Just a flower is at the God Venerable realm. Immediately afterwards, his face changed completely. The soul of the flower was still getting stronger, and there was no intention of stopping. The soul fire began to enter the category of high-level God Venerable, but it was still getting stronger. Lin Mo had seen Zhu Qiwu's soul fire and knew what the soul flame of the God Venerable peak looked like. Now this unknown flower, its soul has reached the same level as Zhu Qiwu. But it hadn't continued to grow stronger, showing no signs of stopping. A warning came from his soul, and Lin Mo Yu felt something was wrong, instinctively retreating, directly moving back over 10,000 kilometers. The soul fire suddenly expanded, officially breaking through the limit of the God Venerable realm. Within the original golden soul flame, a touch of stunning purple light appeared, and a noble, mysterious aura permeated the air. Lin Mo Yu's eyes were filled with shock. Not the God Venerable realm, it's the other shore. A flower, actually an existence that had set foot on the other shore, the power of this world was unimaginable. The flower bud revived, but it didn't prostrate itself before Lin Mo Yu. On the surface, it was because it was a flower, so it didn't have the ability to prostrate. But Lin Mo Yu, as the person involved, didn't feel that way. He felt that the flower's soul will was fighting against the undead rebirth. It didn't want to prostrate. How could a powerful existence that had set foot on the other shore prostrate before a God King? Lin Mo Yu was encountering this for the first time, and couldn't help but feel vigilant. He discovered the limit of undead rebirth. Every technique has a limit, and the limit of undead rebirth should be the God Venerable. Reviving and controlling a God Venerable was not a problem, but if reviving an existence above the God Venerable, it could indeed be revived, but wanting to control it would be difficult. How powerful was the will of such an existence? How could it be easily controlled? The current situation was the best example. The flower bud's resistance to the technique became more and more intense. Lin Moyu suddenly felt that he was being locked onto, and a malicious intent enveloped his soul. While the flower bud was fighting against the technique, it also took the time to lock onto him. It wants to kill me. The wings of the undead instinctively opened, instantly severing the soul lock, and at the same time, his body transformed into a stream of light, retreating backwards. Having retreated less than 1,000 kilometers, a layer of deep blue light suddenly lit up above his head. Lin Moyu only felt his whole body sink, his soul buzzing, his thoughts becoming chaotic, and all perception of the surroundings disappeared. A feeling of loneliness burst forth from the depths of his soul. Lin Moyu felt hopeless in life, and had an urge to commit suicide. This emotion came from the depths of his soul, uncontrollable, and unsuppressible. No way, this isn't my real thought. Control, must control. Fortunately, this emotion only lasted for less than half a second before shattering like a bubble, disappearing without a trace. Lin Moyu also broke free from the loneliness and hopelessness, his thoughts returned to normal, his face pale, his body exhausted, gasping for breath. He knew that status immunity had played a role, but facing a curse attack that surpassed the god Venerable level, status immunity couldn't achieve true immunity. At least during that half-second, Lin Moyu had countless thoughts of committing suicide. Fortunately, his own soul quality was high enough, and his defense was strong enough. Otherwise, he would have had to self-destruct at least once. His talent could still save him, but it was dangerous enough. If this curse power lasted for more than 3 seconds, he might really be in danger. 3 seconds was enough for him to self-destruct 3 times, and his talent wouldn't be useful. At this moment, a sharp cry suddenly rang in his ears, and the flower bud, which was fighting against the undead rebirth technique, suddenly trembled all over, and then it exploded like fireworks, shattering into pieces. From the roots to the petals, everything turned into dust, dissipating into the world. Undead rebirth had turned the flower bud into a revived being, but it had failed to control it. In a fierce collision between the two, its soul completely collapsed, and it died completely. Lin Moyu breathed a sigh of relief. It was really too dangerous just now. A bitter smile appeared. Almost played myself to death. If he had really died just now, then he would have died at his own hands. Killing himself, it was indeed a bit funny to say. Chapter 1445. The Stone Tablet in the Basin. The curse was strong, leaving Lin Moyu with lingering fear. However, Lin Moyu also knew that his status immunity was indeed effective against curses. As long as he was careful, he would be fine. He hadn't expected the other party's realm to be so high before. He was really careless. Still not cautious enough. I need to be more careful in the future. Lin Moyu warned himself in his heart, and walked back to the flower bud's side. The flower bud had already turned into dust, disappearing into the world, and no trace could be found. In the place where it had existed before, a giant pit appeared. Lin Moyu came to the edge of the pit and looked down. It was pitch black inside, and nothing could be seen. Suddenly, alarms blared in his soul. Lin Moyu reacted extremely quickly, and quickly retreated 2 steps. At this moment, a huge pulling force rushed out from the pit. If Lin Moyu was still standing in the pit at that time, he would definitely be pulled down. What is this power? Could there be other living beings in the pit? Lin Moyu was awe-stricken in his heart. He realized that if he fell down, there would definitely be no good outcome. With a thought, 100 skeleton god warriors rushed out, leapt up, and jumped in. Lin Moyu had already connected to the skeleton god warriors' undead vision, to see where they would go. After the skeleton god warriors entered, that huge pulling force appeared again, like giant hands firmly grabbing the skeleton god warriors. The skeleton god warriors couldn't resist, they could only be taken away by the pulling force. The world was pitch black. Fortunately it was undead vision, so they could still see something. Then Lin Moyu saw a giant vortex, exactly the same as the vortex he had entered through. The pulling force came from the vortex, dragging the skeleton god warriors into the vortex. The skeleton god warriors were like a small boat in a giant wave, swaying in the wind. Unlike the vortex he had come through, there was something in this vortex. There were countless meteorite-like substances flying in the vortex, looking somewhat similar to the materials of the earth. Driven by the power of the vortex, these substances moved at a rapid speed, like cannonballs. The skeleton god warriors were constantly subjected to impacts, and a large number of wounds appeared on their bodies. Fortunately, the skeleton god warriors were strong enough, and these injuries were not enough to make them collapse. After spinning in the vortex for several minutes, they finally reached the deepest part of the vortex. Then the skeleton god warriors were thrown out like garbage. At the moment of leaving the vortex, Lin Moyu sensed a familiar aura. Immediately afterwards, the connection between him and the skeleton god warriors was severed, the two sides lost contact, and could no longer sense each other. ACDC, it's the aura of the great world, returning to the great world through the vortex. At the moment when the skeleton god warriors left the vortex, Lin Moyu clearly sensed the aura of the great world. He was 100% sure that he could leave here and return to the great world through the vortex. Lin Moyu seemed to understand, so this is the way to return to the great world. In that case, there should be many similar pits. It really is two different worlds, even the connection between me and the skeletons can be isolated. Having found a way back, Lin Moyu felt confident. The skeletons that had been released before were still running on the ground, and soon discovered something different. Lin Moyu immediately rushed over and saw a basin. This basin was about 10,000 meters in diameter and about 100 meters deep. Above the basin, there were huge pits. Lin Moyu recognized at a glance that these pits were the pits left behind after the death of flowers and plants, and also the channels to leave this world. So far, Lin Moyu, apart from courting death himself and encountering a life and death crisis once, had not encountered any other dangers. If another cultivator came here, they probably wouldn't encounter danger either. So most of the cultivators here returned safely, but they couldn't bring back any useful information. However, if you want to know the real secret of this world, you still have to trigger the curse. But how to trigger the curse? Lin Mo's gaze searched the basin, and in an inconspicuous corner, he suddenly saw a stone tablet. The stone tablet was as black as ink, and its color was different from that of the earth. This material, as expected, it's from the ancient times. Lin Mo recognized it at a glance. The material of the stone tablet was the same as the material of the mysterious manor fortress. He took 2 steps and came directly to the stone tablet. The stone tablet was engraved with text, the source ancient text that Lin Mo was familiar with, which was close to the ancient text of his previous life. In this era, there were not many people who could recognize the source ancient text. People like Little Ming King Bodhisattva and Shu Qingyang, whom he had saved, did not recognize the source ancient text. However, Zhu Qiwu and that mysterious big shot knew it. Lin Mo guessed that the source ancient text was only circulated in the upper echelons of various races, and perhaps only the strong races would know it. There should have been a lot of text on the stone tablet, but most of it has been erased, leaving only some fragments. Tulu rebelled, I led the army to quell. No matter how strong the curse is, it can't stop the master's glory. Heaven, despicable, I led the army to slaughter Tulu. They were all fragmented records, but it was enough to analyze a lot of information. When he saw the word Tulu, Lin Mo suddenly thought of the information he had seen in the animal skin booklet. At that time, the booklet wrote, in the Undying Era 998, your glory shone on Tulu. Connecting the causes and consequences, he could probably guess the cause and effect. In the 998th year of the Undying Era, this master ruled the entire Tulu, but it was not known whether Tulu was a race at that time, or an independent world. In the following years, more than a dozen races or worlds were successively ruled. Then, in an unprecedented war, these guys were unwilling to be ruled, and they rebelled. As a result, Tulu was slaughtered. So Area 9 to 58 is actually the former territory of Tulu. Tulu turned out to be a plant-based life form that is good at curses. The things of the ancient times are indeed a bit interesting. There were races that were good at curses in the Great World, but they were all weak. Unexpectedly, the Tulu race developed curses to such an extent that they surpassed the Divine Lord level. Looking at the pits left behind, one could imagine how big their bodies were when they were alive, and one could also infer their strength, which would not be weaker than the flower buds he had seen before. That was an existence that surpassed the Divine Lord, and in the former Tulu, it was actually everywhere. The power of the ancient times seemed to be far beyond the current era. Lin Mo had a feeling of being eye-opening. He tried to take the stone tablet away, but the stone tablet was firmly embedded in the earth, and no matter how hard he tried, he couldn't take it away. In the end, he had no choice but to use a memory stone to record the contents of the stone tablet. Those big shots wanted information from the ancient times very much. If he handed this over, he might be able to exchange it for some rewards. After searching the basin, there were no other discoveries. He went to the pit near the pit and let dozens of skeletons go in to try, and once again confirmed that he could indeed leave here through the pit and return to the great world. Lin Mo had a bottom line in his heart, knowing that he would not be trapped here. He left a few skeletons here as coordinates, so that he would not get lost no matter how he walked. Leaving the basin, he turned into a stream of light and ran towards another direction. The skeleton god warrior had a new discovery. Chapter 1446. Curse from hundreds of millions of years ago. The skeleton god warrior discovered another basin, but there was no stone tablet left in this basin. The size and layout of the two basins were exactly the same. There was no difference in the distribution of the pits inside. Both basins were standard circles with a diameter of 10,000 meters, which was very accurate. There were exactly 100 pits in the basin, and even the position and size of each pit were the same. It can be said that these two basins were carved out of the same mold except for the stone tablet. Then the skeletons discovered more and more basins. Lin Mo looked at them one by one and found that these basins were the same. Lin Mo secretly guessed, can we regard each basin as a tribe or a group? But if you look at it this way, it seems a bit wrong. The distribution of these basins is too uniform. They don't look like living areas, but more like the style of an army. If it is an army, then there should be commanders and generals. Lin Mo followed his own discoveries and compared them with the terrain map that had formed in his mind. He found that the distribution of these basins was very balanced, forming a square array similar to that of an army. But for the time being, this conjecture cannot be confirmed. Lin Mo has been very safe along the way and has not triggered any curses. He didn't know what those who triggered the curse back then had discovered. After all, he had only been here for 2 days, so he couldn't be anxious about everything. The skeletons continued to explore the surroundings. Except for the direction where the basins appeared, the other directions were all flat, with nothing. The vastness of this land, which originally belonged to the Tulu tribe, far exceeded Lin Mo's imagination. The skeletons heading in other directions could run 130 million kilometers every day, but after running for 2 days in a row, they were still on the plain, and the scenery did not change at all. This scale has completely surpassed common sense. However, Lin Mo had a vague feeling that this was just the tip of the iceberg. Basins continued to appear, and there were already tens of thousands of them on the map in his mind. There are 100 seats each horizontally and vertically, forming a neat array. Finally, on the 4th day, there was a new discovery. In front of the 10,000 basins, a 100-meter-high mountain appeared. At the moment when he saw the high mountain, Lin Mo could finally confirm that this basin was not a tribe, but a military camp. On top of this high mountain, there is a strange big tree. Under the undead vision, the soul fire of this big tree has been extinguished. Lin Mo walked to the mountain and turned to look in the direction of the basin. The mist in front of him suddenly cleared, and in his sight, 10,000 basins came into view. He looked down from a high position, like a general reviewing soldiers. It is conceivable that in those basins back then, there were soldiers of the Tulu tribe. They were ready to go and launch the so-called rebellion. As a result, the rebellion failed and the tribe was slaughtered. Who was right and who was wrong has long been buried by the river of time, and there is no longer any so-called. It is not difficult for Lin Mo to find out the truth. He can revive the strange tree next to him. But he didn't dare. This level of existence is very likely to break away from the control of undead rebirth and give himself a curse. He was lucky last time, but it's hard to say next time. The risk is too great, not worth taking. The strange tree in front of him is 100 meters high, which is obviously bigger than the previous flower bud, and needless to say, its strength is also stronger. It's enough to do something to court death once, doing it more may really lead to death. He withdrew his gaze from the basin and turned to look at the strange tree in front of him. The surface of the big tree is not smooth, but has protrusions. These protrusions seem to have something trying to drill out of its body, forming a strange appearance. The withered branches hang down, connected to the earth, and cover the earth. Lin Mo did not touch these branches, and the whole person slowly flew up. The mountain is 100 meters high. At this time, he is almost standing on the top of the mountain, which is equivalent to standing at 100 meters in the air, bearing a huge pulling force. When he flew up, he was less than half a meter from the ground, and he could not cross the top of the mountain at all. But this couldn't stump Lin Mo, he had many ways to fly over. With a thought, a skeleton god general appeared beside him. The skeleton god general was 5 meters tall, possessing the battle power of a rank 9 god king, second only to the skeleton king and the 200 legion rulers with legions. The strength of a rank 9 god king was enough for the skeleton god general to fly to a height of 800 meters. Lin Mo placed one hand on the bones of the skeleton god general, and the skeleton god general slowly ascended, carrying Lin Mo over the mountain top. At the instant of crossing the mountain top, Lin Mo's pupils suddenly contracted. He saw behind the mountain, dense and numerous vines covering the ground. These vines didn't hang down from branches, nor were they roots, but a part of the tree's body. Some of the vines were on the mountain, and most were hidden under the mountain, mixed with the roots. The vines stretched along the earth, extending who knows how far. Lin Mo realized he had underestimated this strange tree. The section emerging from the mountain top was just its head, the entire mountain was its body. Judging by the strength of the flower bud, the strength of this strange tree was probably unimaginable. Immediately afterward, among the intertwined vines, Lin Mo saw something different. "Go over there." With a thought, he commanded the skeleton god general to fly down. He approached the vines and saw clearly the object between the vines. It was a head, the flesh and blood already dried up, the dry skin tightly wrapped around the bones. One could still vaguely distinguish it as a male head. The eyes, nose, and mouth looked 7 or 8 parts similar to the human race. However, the skin was covered with a layer of fine scales, indicating that the other party was not human. Lin Mo pondered for a moment, signaled the skeleton god general to fly high away, and then summoned another skeleton god general, to have the skeleton god general pick up the head between the vines. The skeleton god general grabbed the head and pulled hard, pulling the head out of the vines. Boom! With a loud noise, the entire mountain forest shook violently. A red light lit up above the skeleton god general's head, transforming into the shape of a giant axe, chopping down on the skeleton god general's head. 0. The skeleton god general collapsed on the spot, exploding into pieces. Undying Undead automatically activated, the skeleton god general resurrected, but shattered again in an instant. Resurrecting time after time, dying time after time. Resurrecting 5 times in a row, until the 6th collapse, Undying Undead lost its effect, and the skeleton god general truly died. Only then did the head fall back into the mountain again. Lin Mo looked at this scene. What a terrifying curse. The strange tree didn't resurrect, the curse should have been set before its death. The power of the curse was very strange. Once a curse was set, it could last for a very long time. Although with the passage of time, the power of the curse would be worn away by the years, but if the strength was strong enough, then the existence time of the curse would be incredibly long, even lasting billions of years. This was the case now. A curse from hundreds of millions of years ago, easily cursed and killed the skeleton god general. Moreover, the power of the curse continued to exist. Even if resurrected, it was useless. Lin Mo had no choice but to give up on this skeleton god general. He summoned a new skeleton god general again, to retrieve the head. This time it went smoothly, without triggering the curse attack. Sure enough, as long as the vines aren't touched, the curse won't be triggered. Triggering the curse attack required fulfilling a certain condition. Touching the vines would bring about the curse attack. If the vines weren't touched, the curse wouldn't be triggered. Now it seemed that his idea was correct. Looking at the head in the skeleton god general's hand, Lin Mo took it away from the mountain, and at a place 10,000 meters away from the mountain, Lin Mo launched undying flames at the head. Stellar level spell. Undead Rebirth Person. Chapter 1447. Ancient Information, Another World. The undying flames landed on the head, burning fiercely. The ancient being who had been dead for who knows how many years, under the effect of the spell, its flesh began to be reborn little by little. Whether it was because the other party's power was too strong, or because they had died too long ago, the speed of rebirth was very slow. Lin Mo stared intently at the other party, his mind elevated to the limit. He could choose between the strange tree and the head to resurrect. The reason for resurrecting the head, rather than the strange tree, Lin Mo had his own ideas. At the same time, to prevent any accidents, Lin Mo had also made preparations, and would not repeat the same mistakes. In the undying flames, the head first recovered its flesh and blood, gradually becoming full. After that, the flesh and blood below the neck began to be reborn, wriggling and regenerating in the flames. Lin Mo looked at the newborn skin and flesh, which also grew dense scales. The appearance was somewhat similar to the human race, but it was not the human race. However, even if it was the human race, it was the human race of the ancient times, and the relationship with the current human race was not great. 917. Lin Mo would not be soft-hearted because of what race the other party was. Now these guys, in Lin Mo's eyes, were just a tool that could figure out the situation. The undying flames continued to burn for 10 minutes, and the other party finally reborn. He was about 3 meters tall, much taller than Lin Mo. His whole body was covered with scales, and he also had a snake tail behind him. This was a strange race, not matching any of the current races. After his resurrection, he instinctively wanted to prostrate himself in front of Lin Mo, but a fierce light suddenly burst out in his eyes, and a roar came from his mouth, as if he was resisting. Lin Mo watched him quietly, without saying a word, sensing his aura. The other party's aura was very strong, not much different from the previous flower bud. They were all strong individuals who had stepped into the other shore, but they were weaker than the strange tree. So it died at the hands of the tree monster. Lin Mo asked in a low voice, "Who are you?" Having the first experience, Lin Mo was not flustered, and in the identity of the master, strengthened the suppression of the spell. The other party was resurrected because of the spell, and would be restrained by the spell. The first time was because he hadn't encountered this kind of thing, plus the curse attack of the flower bud, which made him unable to take the correct response methods for a while. Now Lin Mo already understood what he should do. Strengthening the power of the spell, he exerted pressure in the identity of the master. Although this might not necessarily work, it was worth a try. Under the dual suppression of the spell in Lin Mo, the other party's thinking finally showed signs of submission. I am 993,257. The other party reported a number that was more than 10 digits long. Lin Mo was stunned for a moment. What was this? Was this his name? How could it be a number? Could it be that the strong individuals of that era didn't have names, only numbers? Impossible, they were already strong individuals of the other shore. How could this be? Lin Mo asked, "Which race are you?" After hesitating for several breaths, the other party struggled to say his race, Undying Snakefish race. "What are you doing here?" Lin Mo seized the time to ask. "Tulu betrayed, we were ordered to come and quell the rebellion." "Who else came with you to quell the rebellion?" "There is also the Master's personal guard, the 10th Army, the rebellions in various worlds. We are responsible for destroying Tulu." Lin Mo was shocked, his eyes gleaming. "The Tulu you mentioned is not a race. It is both a race and a world. Explain clearly." "The Tulu race ruled their world, eliminating all races except themselves. Our snakefish race originally belonged to the Tulu realm, but later." He stopped abruptly, a scarlet light flashing in his eyes. His gaze rapidly turned frantic, as if he had lost his mind. You are not the master. You are not qualified to command me. You dare to control me. I will kill you. You lowly ant, daring to try and control me. Go die." Amidst the furious roars, he suddenly broke free from the suppression of the spell and launched an attack towards Lin Mo Yu. Lin Mo Yu was prepared and didn't panic in the slightest. He reached out and pointed at this brother number, as he was only known. Stellar level spell, corpse explosion. With a deafening boom, brother number was instantly blasted to smithereens. At the same time, the mountain where the strange tree stood was also reduced to dust. Using the strange tree as the material for corpse explosion to kill brother number was Lin Mo Yu's pre-planned strategy. The reason he didn't revive the strange tree was that Lin Mo Yu feared brother number wasn't strong enough, and if he couldn't blow up the strange tree, then he would be the one to die. Before Lin Mo Yu could celebrate for even 2 seconds, a red light suddenly appeared above his head, and an axe materialized, chopping down. Crap, a curse. As the axe came down, Lin Mo Yu's soul trembled violently, and his mind went blank again. He couldn't dodge at all and couldn't react in any way. A large axe appeared outside the soul world, heavily striking the soul world. Cracks appeared in the crystal barrier, and the giant talon tree shook wildly. The axe struck down again and again. The cracks on the crystal barrier became denser and denser, spreading like a spider web, threatening to shatter at any moment. The giant talon tree stretched out, trying to stop the attacker, but to no avail. It couldn't even get close. Half a second later, Lin Mo Yu regained his senses. His soul power surged frantically, strengthening the crystal barrier. At the same time, he instinctively waved the staff of heavenly calamity in his hand, and the soul fire gem emitted a yellow light that landed on the crystal barrier, strengthening the barrier's defense. But this strengthening wouldn't last long. A gleam flashed in Lin Moyu's eyes, and his soul resolutely rushed out of the soul world. The axe instantly appeared above his soul, and with one strike, it fell. The soul collapsed, and in the next instant, the giant talon tree burst forth with brilliant purple light, and the soul was reborn within the soul world. Even the soul world was restored to its original state. At this moment, the axe formed by the curse struck the soul world again, and cracks reappeared on the crystal barrier. 2 seconds later, within the soul world, the stellar spell representing status immunity erupted with dazzling light, and a peculiar force swept out. The axe formed by the curse shattered on the spot, disappearing without a trace. Lin Moyu's body recovered from its stiffness, and his face was pale. I didn't expect that this would trigger a curse. What a powerful curse, directly attacking the soul. If my soul wasn't strong enough, I would have already died. Billions of years have worn away most of the curse's power, otherwise, I would still die, possibly without even being able to block a single attack. There are many types of curses. Among the most common is the attack type curse, which directly attacks the soul, annihilating it. The strange tree's curse was this type of attack. 4. 5. The curse of the flower bud, on the other hand, leaned towards mind control, making you feel despair and then commit suicide. The two types of curses are different. It's hard to say which is stronger, mainly depending on the strength of the user. As the strange tree turned to ashes, the 100-meter-high mountain collapsed. Not only did the ground not rise again, but a huge pit with a diameter of 10,000 meters appeared. This also shows that the previous strange tree actually occupied 10,000 meters of land, not just the little bit it appeared to be on the surface. Lin Moyu had the skeleton general fly him to the side, away from the pit, before he could safely sit down. Collecting his thoughts, he began to ponder the information he had obtained earlier. The most important information was the description of Tulu. Although Tulu is a race, it is also a world. They ruled an entire world, killing all other races in that world. The Tulu in the handbook does not refer to the Tulu race, but to the Tulu realm. A Tulu realm like a great world. Chapter 1448. If the sky falls, there will be tall people to hold it up. Starting from the mysterious manner, all the information obtained began to connect at this moment. The events that happened in ancient times became clear. The Tulu race unified the Tulu realm. It may not have been called the Tulu realm before, but that's not important. Then they encountered that mysterious master. The mysterious master was even more powerful, and his army invaded the Tulu realm. Not only the Tulu realm, but also the Blue Sea, Paradise. These are all worlds, not just races. One world after another, like the Great World, was occupied by that master. That main god ruled dozens of worlds. His power is unimaginable. Until that mysterious master found a new world, triggering another war. This new world was very powerful, and the two sides were evenly matched. The army of that mysterious master suffered damage, and the various realms took the opportunity to rebel. In the end, that master should have been defeated. Lin Moyu shuddered. He thought of seeing the Great World rune through the black hole. The Great World rune was severely damaged, as if it was about to collapse. Connecting it with the scene seen in the mysterious manner, that powerhouse summoned the Great World rune. A terrifying idea sprouted from the bottom of his heart. The Great World is the world that fought against that mysterious master. Even if it isn't, the Great World has at least been sprinkled with his glory. Therefore, there are still traces of the Great War in the Great World. The battlefield and chaotic rules are all traces left by the Great War back then. Lin Moyu's thoughts scattered, feeling that he had touched an extremely huge secret. Judging from the information obtained from the chaotic rules, that mysterious master did not truly die. Perhaps one day, he will return and reassemble his army. If this comes true, it will be an incredibly terrifying outcome. Lin Moyu didn't know if his Great World's strongest talents could stop him. His level was not high enough, and he was far from being able to contact such figures. What kind of existence were the legendary invincible powerhouses? Could they stop that mysterious master? He recalled the strongest people he had come into contact with: Antares, the mysterious man, and the old man riding the green ox. That's right, that old man was the strongest person he had ever seen, without a doubt. Even Antares didn't dare to mention his name. As his strength increased, he had some guesses about Antares' strength. Antares was more than just a god Venerable realm. He was most likely a being who had stepped into the other shore, or at least like Zhu Qiwu, a half-step other shore. But even such a powerhouse didn't dare to mention the old man's name. One could imagine how strong that green ox old man was. Perhaps he can stop him. Lin Moyu comforted himself. The great world was not without peerless powerhouses, it was just that he didn't know about them yet. Then he couldn't help but sneer at himself, why am I worrying about this? If the sky falls, there will be tall people to hold it up. Moreover, I don't even know when that master will return. Maybe he won't return for another 10,000 years, or even 100,000 years. I'm really worrying for nothing. Lin Moyu felt that he was being a bit of a worrywart. It was quite funny. After resting for a while, Lin Moyu checked the map in his mind. During this period, the skeletons had explored a large area, most of which were plains. After learning that Tulu was a world, Lin Moyu had a new definition of the word, vast. In front of a world, a few thousand or tens of thousands of light years are nothing, let alone a mere few 100 million kilometers. This place can only be considered an area within the Tulu realm, perhaps a battlefield, nothing more. He had a feeling that he might not gain anything here. However, obtaining this information was already worth the trip. Based on the information he currently had, as long as he reported it, this task would definitely be considered complete. He knew how thirsty the upper echelons were for information from the ancient times. They're probably also searching for remnants from the ancient times, and are they also worried about the resurrection of that mysterious master? But what does that have to do with me? I need to protect my life, cultivate diligently, and when I have the strength, I'll defy fate for them. Area 9 to 58, outside the Great Whirlpool, hundreds of skeletons were in a daze. A lotus flower flew from the void and stopped outside the whirlpool. The lotus had 18 petals, golden in color, and was known as the 18 golden lotuses. In the Buddhist clan, many people like to use lotus-shaped magical treasures as their mounts. The lotus flowers were divided into different grades according to their color and the number of petals. Arhats, equivalent to true gods, were only worthy of using silver lotuses. Golden lotuses were only used after becoming a bodhisattva. Similarly, golden lotus mounts were also strictly graded. 6-leaf golden lotuses were for low-level bodhisattvas, 9-leaf were for mid-level bodhisattvas, and only high-level bodhisattvas were qualified to use 12-leaf golden lotuses. In the Buddhist clan, using Buddhist treasures beyond one's rank was punishable. As for the 18-leaf golden lotus in front of them, it was the exclusive mount of a little Buddha. Upon reaching the God Venerable realm, one would start with a 24-leaf golden lotus. The golden lotus was both a mount, used for transportation, and also a defensive magical treasure with extremely powerful defense. On the golden lotus was a little Buddha. He wore a golden kasaya, a golden Buddha crown, held a golden alms bowl in his right hand, and a string of 9 Buddhist beads in his left hand. From head to toe, everything was a magical treasure, he was simply armed to the teeth. He stopped in front of the great whirlpool and saw the skeleton god warriors staring blankly. His originally solemn appearance frowned, he extremely disliked the aura of death emitted by the skeleton god warriors. Where did these monsters come from? This Buddha will eliminate you today. As he spoke, the golden Buddha crown on his head bloomed with dazzling light, transforming into a golden sword, sweeping across the starry sky. Buddhist chants lingered, and wherever the golden sword passed, the skeleton god warriors melted like ice and snow, dying silently. Because they had lost contact with Lin Mo, these skeleton god warriors truly died when they died, and were not resurrected by a undead spirita. With one sword, the little Buddha chanted a Buddhist prayer, Amitabha, dust to dust, earth to earth. At this moment, a deafening laughter came from the starry sky. Golden light little Buddha, you're actually still alive. 750 golden light little Buddha frowned, obviously disliking the question. But he did not lash out, and instead said, soul-devouring little god Venerable, aren't you still alive as well? Of course, how could I die? In the deafening voice, a demon warship flew over and stopped steadily. The demon warship was ferocious and terrifying, in stark contrast to the 18 golden lotuses of the golden light little Buddha. This warship exuded an aura close to that of a god Venerable, it was a warship of the god Venerable realm. The golden light little Buddha looked at the warship with envy. Although it didn't look good, it was a real god Venerable realm warship, much stronger than his 18-leaf golden lotus. Even his entire fortune combined couldn't match this warship. The soul-devouring little god Venerable flew out of the warship and stopped steadily in front of the golden light little Buddha. The two were only 1,000 meters apart, which was a very close distance. The soul-devouring little god Venerable said, "Are the supplies ready?" The golden light little Buddha said, everything is ready. I hope that after the matter is completed, the soul-devouring little god Venerable will not go back on his word. The soul-devouring little god Venerable laughed loudly. Our soul-devouring lineage and your golden light lineage have cooperated more than once or twice, how could we go back on our word? Amitabha, well done. The golden light little Buddha chanted a Buddhist prayer, then we should not delay, let's go in. Alright, little Buddha, please. The soul-devouring laughed and waved his hand, making a gesture of invitation. The golden light little Buddha glanced at him, stepped on the golden lotus and flew into the whirlpool. Chapter 1449. Turning Poison into Treasure, Rational Use of Curses. Inside the Turu realm, Lin Mo, who had just made some new discoveries, suddenly stopped. There was suddenly a vacancy in the number of skeleton god warriors. The skeleton god warriors who returned to the great world have been killed. Lin Mo's eyes turned cold. Someone had killed his skeleton god warriors, and it was very likely that they had already entered the Turu realm. He didn't care about entering the Turu realm, but killing the skeleton god warriors was making an enemy of him. If it was done by an opposing race, then it would be revenge on top of revenge. It was just that because of the separation between the two realms, they could not contact each other, so Lin Mo did not know who did it. But that was not important. There were now millions of skeletons operating in the Turu realm. As long as the other party came in, they would always know. Lin Mo advanced towards the newly discovered place. On the vast plain, he finally saw a different scenery. An extremely huge blood-colored flower stood alone on the vast and boundless plain. This flower was comparable to a high mountain, reaching thousands of meters in height. The huge petals swayed gently in the breeze. Unsurprisingly, it was also dead. What he was seeing now was just a corpse. After hundreds of millions of years, the corpse had not decayed in any way, and was still as bright red as blood. This flower was exactly the same as the flower bud that Lin Mo first encountered, except that it was larger. The flower bud could be regarded as its childhood, while this flower had grown up and had completely bloomed. Its strength realm had reached a level that Lin Mo could not imagine. At least the other shore, perhaps more than the other shore. The petals were layered on top of each other, and there were many wounds on the petals, with some petals almost being cut off. Such a tall flower, thousands of meters in height, also endured the powerful pulling force of the Turu land. However, this pulling force was equal to nothing to it. Its strength was too strong, so strong that even its corpse was extremely terrifying, ignoring the pulling force. Lin Mo knew that it was impossible for him to fly up. The height of thousands of meters was not something he could reach. And even if he could fly, he wouldn't dare to go up. Even that strange tree had left a terrible curse. How could this flower, which was obviously stronger, not leave a curse? Lin Mo just stood tens of thousands of meters away, bypassing it from a distance. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew. There was always wind on the plain, which was not surprising. But this time the wind was a little different. Along with the breeze, a blue light suddenly lit up above Lin Mo's head. The curse descended. His thoughts instantly became chaotic, and the emotions of despair and wanting to commit suicide spread uncontrollably. Lin Mo tried his best to gather his will to cut off these unwanted thoughts. He instantly recalled his past, thinking of his beloved wife, thinking of his sister, thinking of one beautiful past after another. The fire of hope burned brightly in his heart and soul, dispelling the unwarranted pessimism. Finally, the feeling of despair was gradually eliminated. Half a second later, a status immunity activated, and an invisible force cleansed the soul world, erasing all pessimism. Compared to the previous two times, Lin Mo became extremely calm and composed this time. After recovering from the curse, Lin Mo looked at the blood-colored flower tens of thousands of meters away. How could there be a curse? The power of the curse doesn't seem to be very strong. Is it because of the distance? But how was the curse triggered? Lin Mo's eyes were like lightning, searching for all the possibilities that triggered the curse. Finally, he had a bit of a discovery. The plains here are different from other places. He saw in the distance that the plains were covered with a thin layer of small grass, which looked like grass but also like moss. A very thin layer, the color close to the earth, so that he had not noticed it just now. Walking across hundreds of millions of miles of plains, the unchanging earth made him ignore the existence of moss. On the moss, there were some tiny pollens covered. The pollen was so small and scattered that it could not be seen with the naked eye, even with full eyesight. The same was true with soul perception, the pollen was like it didn't exist. Only the undead vision could see the pollen that was even smaller than powder, flying in the air with the wind. The closer to the flowers, the more pollen there was. However, most of the pollen was concentrated within a 10,000-meter radius of the flowers, and only a few left this range. The wind just now carried the pollen, and a grain of pollen flew onto his body, thus triggering the curse. But the pollen was tiny, and the curse it triggered was not powerful. Even without status immunity, he could have withstood it. Lin Mo estimated in his heart that if his will was firm enough, and his soul quality only needed to reach the high rank of the 3rd grade, he would have a chance to withstand it. And most cultivators at the high rank of the God King realm had already reached the high rank of the 3rd grade in soul quality. The problem still lay in the will. Under the strong impact of the curse, life would fall into deep despair. If the will was not firm enough, one would follow the direction of the curse and eventually head towards destruction. This was a mental curse, with a strong bewitching and guiding effect. The 3 people who were cursed and came back alive should have been hit by a mental curse. If their will is not firm enough, their minds will eventually collapse and their souls will be annihilated. Unless their intelligence is erased, but the curse is deeply rooted in the soul, eroding consciousness, and has become a subconscious, erasing intelligence may not be useful. Curse was a terrible form of attack, and the Turu tribe, who were good at cursing, were also a terrible race. It was no wonder they could rule the entire world, which further demonstrated the horror of that mysterious master. Another gust of wind blew, blowing up a lot of pollen, and Lin Mo almost instinctively retreated quickly. But after only a few steps back, he suddenly stopped again. In the soul world, after clearing all the power of the curse, Lin Mo suddenly found that his soul seemed to have become a little stronger. His soul had long reached the peak of the 4th grade, Jade soul giving birth to purple. But after a long time, there were no more changes. His cultivation had risen all the way from true God to God King, and his physical body had also reached the God King realm, but his soul had not grown at all. In the eyes of others, Lin Mo's soul was already very powerful, and he had even opened the road to the other shore. It was precisely because of this that Zhu Qiwu especially valued Lin Mo, feeling that he had a promising future. In Zhu Qiwu's eyes, Lin Mo's soul was already very perfect. Even he was no more than this. But in Lin Mo's eyes, the soul had not improved, and he was still somewhat dissatisfied. Before, he suffered the curse of the strange tree, and he almost died. If Li Nuo's soul could be a little stronger, breaking through the 4th grade to reach the 5th grade, it would not have been so. Now Lin Mo suddenly discovered that his soul had actually strengthened a bit, and his heart suddenly surged with joy. Fighting against the curse is equivalent to tempering consciousness and cultivating the soul. It's the same as using flash fire to cultivate the physical body, working in different ways but achieving the same goal. Finally found a way to cultivate the soul and improve the soul. Lin Mo's eyes were shining, and a flash of light flashed by his side, and the Buddhist sound suddenly appeared. The Buddha Kingdom Lich appeared beside him, chanting Buddhist sounds, echoing in the vast plains. With the help of the Buddha Kingdom Lich, Lin Mo used the Peking Truth technique. The Peking Truth technique communicated the laws of fate, rippling, intercepting some fragments from the many possibilities of the future, and feeding them back to Lin Mo's mind. Lin Mo saw a possibility in the future, and couldn't help but raise the corner of his mouth. His idea was feasible. Lin Mo retreated instead of advancing, facing the wind forward. He wanted to contact the pollen, endure the curse, and then fight against the curse, using the pollen curse to enhance his soul. Chapter 1450 The future seen by the Peking Truth technique. Lin Mo would not rush forward mindlessly, tempering also needed to be done step by step, from easy to difficult, bit by bit. He was cultivating, not courting death. Facing the wind, switching to undead vision, he took the initiative to contact a grain of pollen. Blue light lit up above his head, and the curse descended. Thoughts fell into chaos again, and pessimistic and desperate emotions rose from the depths of the soul. At this moment, the thought of suicide was magnified countless times. Lin Mo used his will to fight against it, while controlling status immunity to prevent it from expelling the curse. Only in this way could the will and soul get the best exercise and achieve the best results. The power of the curse rushed like a raging wave, and Lin Mo felt that his will and soul were like a small boat in a huge wave, which could capsize at any time. Once it capsized, it would be doomed. Once the will was eroded and twisted, it would be more terrible than anything else. When a person wholeheartedly wanted to commit suicide and wanted to die, no one could save him. Lin Mo's will fought against the curse, expelling all kinds of negative emotions. In the process of confrontation, the will was tempered and the soul was sublimated. Only a minute later, the curse receded, and Lin Mo finally won the victory in this confrontation. His face looked a little pale, and only a minute of confrontation consumed a lot of energy. But Lin Mo's eyes were full of excitement and agitation. 037 It's okay, there's really no problem. The soul stepping into the 5th grade is just around the corner. Only a minute of confrontation made his soul improve again. Jade soul giving birth to purple. There was originally a touch of purple in the center of the soul, but at this time this touch of purple has grown. Although the increase was very small, it was really a bit stronger than before. As long as he persisted, it would not be long before the purple would become more and more intense, until it occupied the entire soul. From the 4th grade peak of Jade soul giving birth to purple, stepping into the 5th grade, becoming the 5th grade purple Jade soul. When all the god sovereigns were working hard to make their souls move towards the 5th grade purple Jade soul, Lin Mo had already taken the lead in the God King realm. After a short rest and recovery, Lin Mo once again walked towards the flowers, actively accepting the curse brought by the pollen. The wind on the grassland blew one after another. Lin Mo controlled the rhythm, only contacting one grain of pollen each time. Now he was a full 50,000 meters away from the flowers, and the amount of pollen here was very small, so Lin Mo could freely control the amount of pollen he contacted. First contact one grain at a time, and after adapting, after the will and soul both become stronger, then contact more pollen. At that time, he could try to contact 2 or 3 grains at the same time. The more pollen, the stronger the curse. 2 days later, Lin Mo had moved a full 10,000 meters closer to the flowers. He had now begun to contact 2 grains of pollen at the same time. The curse brought by 2 grains of pollen was about 50% stronger than before. As Lin Mo had guessed, the more pollen he touched at the same time, the stronger the curse. In just 2 days, Lin Mo's will had become stronger, and the purple in his soul had also become much more. Originally only occupying the position of the heart, now even the entire chest was occupied by purple, and the purple was still spreading towards the abdomen. With the soul becoming stronger, Lin Mo felt that his soul was at least twice as strong as when he first entered the Turu realm. Although still at the 4th grade peak level, not yet reaching the 5th grade, it had really become much stronger. The same is true for souls at the peak of the 4th rank, there are still many differences between them. Turning harvest into the greatest motivation, Lin Mo continued to accept the curse of the pollen and continued to temper his soul. At the same time, the amount of pollen he came into contact with increased again, and he began to touch 3 pollen grains simultaneously, and the curse became stronger again. After he adapted, he increased the amount of pollen again. Lin Mo's adaptation speed became faster and faster, and the number of pollen grains he could touch at the same time also increased rapidly. After the 5th day, Lin Mo could already touch 10 pollen grains simultaneously. Touching 10 pollen grains at the same time caused a curse that was more than 5 times stronger than the initial one, but it didn't pose any danger to Lin Mo. The purple light in his soul had already covered his chest and abdomen, and it seemed to be spreading towards his limbs. At this time, he was only 10,000 meters away from the flower. Lin Mo stopped. The moss in the 10,000 meter area was obviously thicker, and the amount of pollen had also increased to a higher level, becoming more abundant and denser. The 10,000 meter area can be regarded as the core area of the flower. Once entering the core area, Lin Mo knew that he might not be able to control it easily anymore. If he wasn't careful, he would have to face the result of dozens or even hundreds of pollen grains touching him at the same time. The power of the curse would be very strong, and he might not be able to withstand it. If he used state immunity, there might not be any danger, but the effect of tempering his soul would be greatly reduced. But if he stopped here, with the current pollen density, touching 10 pollen grains at the same time would be the limit. 10 pollen grains would no longer have any effect on his soul. Even if he was lucky enough to touch 11 pollen grains at the same time, the occasional occurrence wouldn't be of much use. He needed dozens or hundreds of touches to make his soul progress quickly. Lin Mo tried to control the pollen with his power, but it was useless. The pollen was completely out of control, and it seemed that only the wind on the plains could affect the pollen. This was the Tulu realm, a world different from the Great World, with its own unique rules. Perhaps the wind also contained mysteries that Lin Mo couldn't understand. To go in or not, if he wanted to continue improving his soul, he had to go in. The key was how to get in. Without thinking of a countermeasure, what would be the result of rashly breaking in? The Buddhist sound rang from around Lin Mo, and the Buddhist lich appeared again. Lin Mo decisively used the Buddhist lich's truth-seeking art to see what problems might arise after he went in. The future is uncertain, but knowing a highly probable outcome is better than knowing nothing. Lin Mo was never pedantic. With such a useful spell as truth-seeking art, he would naturally make the best use of it. The Buddhist lich used the truth-seeking art, and the spell was silent, transmitting a strange wave. Fragments of the future in the law of destiny were foreseen and presented in Lin Mo's mind. Lin Mo saw some scenes that were very likely to happen in the future. The result was beyond Lin Mo's expectations. He went in and touched dozens of pollen grains at the same time. He began to fight against the pollen with all his might, and his whole body was motionless. Lin Mo knew that this was the inevitable result. The pollen triggered a powerful curse, which would inevitably cause him to fall into a daze and be unable to react. This had been the case for the past few days, but each time the daze was very short, usually not exceeding 1 minute. Moreover, he had deployed skeleton god generals outside, so he was not afraid of anything sneaking up on him. But after entering the core area within 10,000 meters, everything changed. A large amount of pollen fell on his body, constantly triggering the curse. Blue light kept emerging from the top of his head. Sometimes, before one curse ended, the next wave of curses had already begun. Relying on state immunity, he dispelled the curse again and again, but inevitably fell into the curse again and again. State immunity could only dispel curses beyond the god Venerable realm after the fact, but could not achieve real-time immunity. Lin Mo saw that he was in a daze for a long time, losing control of his body and unable to move. At this moment, in the distance behind him, a golden light lit up. Chapter 1451. You say, will others believe it? In the future scene, the golden light turned into a sharp sword, wiping out the skeleton god generals he had deployed outside. Then two people appeared in sight. One person was covered in golden light, wearing a Buddhist crown, a golden kasaya, stepping on 18-leaf golden lotuses, holding a golden bowl in his left hand, and a string of prayer beads in his right hand. The other person had a ferocious face, with a single horn growing on his head. Lightning seemed to be jumping on the horn, emitting a palpitating power. After the two arrived, they launched a fierce attack on him. He was unable to move because he was affected by the curse. The picture ended there, and Lin Mo did not see the result. But it's not hard to imagine that the result was not beautiful. The little Buddha of the Buddhist race, the death curse demon of the demon race, the realm of little god Venerable. How could they come together? It seems that the relationship between the two races is somewhat unusual. It is said that the Buddhist race has extensive connections. Although it is not an enemy of any race, no race is willing to be an enemy of the Buddhist race. Lin Mo's eyes became sharp, and a faint killing intent rose. At the same time, he also became interested in the golden bowl in the little Buddha's hand. In the scene just now, that golden bowl seemed to be collecting pollen. Originally, Lin Mo couldn't see it, but when the pollen entered the golden bowl, it was illuminated by the light of the golden bowl, which revealed some light spots different from others. That little Buddha's golden bowl seems to be able to collect pollen. If I use the golden bowl to control the collection of pollen, and then control the amount to curse myself. Lin Mo thought of a seemingly feasible method to freely control the pollen and continue to exercise his soul. It's really like someone bringing a pillow when you're sleepy, not bad, not bad. Lin Mo smiled. He didn't continue to move forward, but retreated 1,000 meters and waited quietly for the two to arrive. The results of the future may be changed, but the general direction will not change. Small changes can be made, but the main points remain the same. Lin Mo understood this principle and would not think that the little Buddha and the demon would not come if he did not enter this 10,000-meter area. Their arrival had nothing to do with whether he entered the 10,000-meter area. Connecting to the undead vision, Lin Mo checked the situation through the skeleton god generals deployed outside. Soon, two blazing and powerful soul fires appeared in the undead vision. The skeleton god generals quickly retreated, not making contact with them. In the truth-seeking art scene, it had already been seen that the skeleton god generals could not stop them at all, so there was no need to sacrifice themselves in vain. The two went straight towards the flower, obviously knowing what was here. Since this was the case, Lin Mo was not in a hurry and waited silently. More than 10 minutes later, the two appeared in sight. The golden light little Buddha, covered in golden light, with rolling Buddhist energy, with a solemn appearance. Incompatible with the pitch-black, ferocious-looking demon. Lin Mo carefully observed the little Buddha and found that he was not a human race. He had a human face, with a 7 to 8 resemblance to the appearance of the human race. But his lower body was a fish body. What he landed on the 12-leaf golden lotus was not legs, but a fish tail covered with scales. Was he once a starry sky fish man? A question appeared in Lin Mo's mind. The starry sky fish man had very little contact with other races and was very mysterious. I didn't expect that some of them would also join the Buddhist race. It seems that the Buddhist race's abilities are far beyond my imagination. When Lin Mo saw the two also saw Lin Mo. Old enemies were extremely jealous of each other. The hatred between the human race and the demon race had lasted for who knows how many years. Basically, every meeting is a fight to the death. Soul-devouring little godly Paragon's eyes gleamed, the lightning on his horn becoming even denser. However, he didn't immediately attack, but turned to look at the golden light little Buddha, seemingly asking for the golden light little Buddha's opinion. The golden light little Buddha gave soul-devouring little godly Paragon a look, then said loudly to Lin Mo, "Amitabha, I didn't expect to see a friend of the human race here, what a surprise." Lin Mo smiled faintly, "I also didn't expect to see the little Buddha of the Buddhist race, and the little godly Paragon of the demon race here. I didn't expect that the Buddhist race, which never antagonizes any race, would actually join forces with the demon race." As soon as these words came out, the golden light Buddha's expression changed drastically. "This friend, you must not talk nonsense. Our Buddhist race is detached from the world and never participates in the struggles of various races." Lin Mo said, "Oh, do you think anyone would believe that?" He raised the memory stone in his hand, the memory stone recording the scene before him. The golden light little Buddha's expression became even more unsightly. He didn't want to fight Lin Mo before, because Lin Mo was a member of the human race, and it was not easy to provoke. Secondly, being able to come here and still be safe and sound shows that Lin Mo's strength is very strong. He came here just to do business and didn't want to cause any trouble. But now Lin Mo just forced him into a desperate situation with just 2 sentences. The Buddhist race has always claimed to be detached from the world and never participate in the struggles between races, so their status in the great world is detached, and other races will not provoke them. If other races were to know that they were with the demon race, then their former claims would be completely shattered. The racial image that has been established for many years will also be subverted. Especially since he is a little Buddha, and next to him is the little godly Paragon of the demon race. If someone uses this carefully, it can completely create the illusion that the Buddhist race has joined forces with the demon race. Even if others don't completely believe it, they will still harbor resentment towards the Buddhist race in the future. As far as he knows, the Buddhist race also has some secret cooperation with the Golden Eagle race. Perhaps if this matter spreads, it will damage their cooperation with the Golden Eagle race. The golden light little Buddha thought a lot in an instant, and his face suddenly became gloomy. "Friend of the human race, you will cause trouble like this. Hand over the memory stone, and I, as a monk, will let you live." Lin Mo smiled faintly, "Are you threatening me? When has my human race ever been afraid of threats?" Soul-devouring little godly Paragon sneered, "Why so much nonsense? Just kill him, a dead man can't talk anyway." His thoughts were more direct and simple, killing Lin Mo would solve everything. "Amitabha," the golden light little Buddha announced a Buddhist prayer, "since the benefactor is stubborn, then don't blame this monk." He gave soul-devouring little godly Paragon a look. Soul-devouring little godly Paragon had been waiting for a long time, and immediately laughed. The horn on his head burst out with electric light, and a bolt of lightning appeared out of thin air and struck towards Lin Mo. The lightning was very fast, but affected by the Tulu realm, it became traceable, far less than the great world. Lin Mo casually stepped out to avoid the lightning, and sharp sword lights flew from all directions, instantly enveloping soul-devouring little godly Paragon. Soul-devouring little godly Paragon ignored the sword light, and the lightning on the horn instantly expanded into a thunderball, enveloping himself. The sword light hit the thunderball, only causing the thunderball to deform slightly, unable to break through. The skeleton god general was only at the 9th rank of the god king, and was still a bit short to deal with soul-devouring little godly Paragon. The thunderball exploded, turning into countless electric snakes, shooting in the direction from which the sword light came. Above the sky, in the distant land, clusters of thunder light exploded. The skeleton god generals couldn't avoid it, and were hit head-on, and were blasted to pieces. Trash. Useless means. Go to hell. Soul-devouring little godly paragon roared disdainfully, and once again launched an attack towards Lin Mo. A thunderball flew out, then disappeared into the void. The next moment, the thunderball suddenly appeared in front of Lin Mo and exploded with a bang. Chapter 1452. This guy is definitely not normal. Lin Mo felt that he was locked on, and immediately unfolded the wings of the undead, preparing to cut off the lock. But he was still a step too slow. Soul-devouring little godly paragon's attack came incredibly fast and fiercely. The thunderball instantly appeared in front of him and then exploded. Thunderous roars and rumblings continued, and a large area of space turned into a sea of thunder, devouring Lin Mo. Then the second, third, and fourth thunderballs flew out, exploding one after another. The moss on the ground was destroyed, revealing the ground. The ground was blasted with cracks by the thunder. The pollen hidden below immediately flew out when the moss was attacked. The pollen seemed to have a target, flying towards soul-devouring little godly paragon. At this time, the golden light little Buddha's golden bowl shone brightly, collecting all these pollens. The golden light little Buddha chanted an unknown Buddhist scripture. The light in the golden bowl became even more dazzling, and the pollen that entered inside was dissolved in the golden bowl, and finally disappeared. The golden light little Buddha used the Buddhist race's technique to dissolve the power of the curse in the pollen. But doing so was not efficient. The golden light little Buddha's dissolving speed couldn't keep up with the speed of absorbing pollen, and he couldn't help but remind him, "Take it easy, this monk can't keep up." Soul-devouring little godly paragon stopped after hearing this, and said with a sneer, "This guy should be gone without a trace." At this time, he had already smashed out at least 50 thunderballs, and a large area was razed to the ground. The sea of thunder was still continuing, and at this time the sea of thunder was undulating like waves. Lin Mo walked out of the sea of thunder unscathed. Soul-devouring little godly paragon's expression changed drastically. "How are you okay? This is impossible." Lin Mo smiled slightly. "Don't you know? Here, all the laws will be weakened, and the power is only 1% of the great world. Even if you are a little godly paragon, it seems not easy to kill me." The attack power of various laws was weakened by the power of the Tulu realm, but Lin Mo's physical body was not weakened, and his passive techniques were not weakened. The previous attack was only 1% of the great worlds, and when it fell on Lin Mo, it was shared by the undead legion. The legion ruler kept healing, and for Lin Mo, he wouldn't be injured even if he was bombed for days and nights. After hearing this, soul-devouring little godly paragon was stunned for a second, and then laughed loudly. "I forgot, that's true. It's a pity you may not know that here, the power of curse-type techniques will not be weakened." Lin Mo was stunned for a moment. He didn't notice this point. It's normal to think about it. The Tulu race is good at curses. In their hometown, the power of curses cannot be weakened naturally. If possible, the power of curses should be enhanced as much as possible. Seeing Lin Mo stunned, soul-devouring little godly paragon thought Lin Mo was frightened, and laughed loudly. "I am from the death curse demon lineage, you should understand. Death curse demons are good at curses and are an extremely special lineage among the demon race. They are small in number, but powerful in combat, and their curse techniques are very strange." However, Lin Mo also knew that the curses that death curse demons are good at are attack-type curses. They are divided into attacks against the physical body and attacks against the soul. Generally, death curse demons only practice one of them. I don't know which one the guy in front of me is practicing. But no matter which one, Lin Mo is not afraid. Soul-devouring little godly paragon locked on Lin Mo in the laughter, and the lightning on the horn on his forehead became bright red. Then a lightning bolt flew out, instantly tearing through the space and falling on Lin Mo. Lin Mo didn't dodge, in fact he couldn't dodge. Curses are difficult to dodge, and basically you can only resist them head-on. A red light appeared on top of Lin Mo's head, and the red lightning turned into a large knife, slashing towards Lin Mo. At the same time, this knife also appeared in the soul world, heavily slashing towards the crystal barrier. Unfortunately, before the cursed greatsword could fall, the status immunity passive technique had already taken effect. An invisible force swept out, instantly destroying the curse. For those curses that exceed the godly paragon realm, the status immunity response is half a beat slower, and it needs to accumulate enough power to dispel the curse. But for curses that don't even reach the godly venerable level, the passive skill A status immunity is like swatting away a fly, easily dispelling it. Lin Mo stood there calmly and motionless. This is your curse. Soul-devouring lesser godly Venerable revealed an unbelievable expression. How could you be alright? This is impossible. This was the second time he had uttered the words, impossible. Before Lin Mo could answer, the golden light lesser Buddha on the side had already spoken. This benefactor was able to reach this place, so naturally he has methods to resist curses. Your use of curses is futile. Lin Mo chuckled. You see things clearly. Golden light lesser Buddha continued. This monk still means what he said. Benefactor, hand over the shadow stone, and this monk will not make things difficult for you. Lin Mo shook his head. He waved his hand and threw out more than a dozen shadow stones. Which one do you want? Take your pick. Golden light lesser Buddha's face completely darkened. He knew that today's matter could not be resolved. The dozen or so shadow stones were all identical. In other words, even if Lin Mo handed over the shadow stone, without checking, he wouldn't know if it was real or fake. And no one knew how many copies Lin Mo had recorded. Golden light lesser Buddha cursed in his heart. What kind of person is this? Which normal person would carry so many shadow stones with them? This thing isn't usually needed. How would he know that Lin Mo's shadow stones were all spoils of war? As for when he got them, even he himself didn't know. Anyway, he just got them while fighting. Shadow stones weren't worth much money. He sold most of them and kept some for himself. Unexpectedly, they actually came in handy here. The lesser Buddha proclaimed a Buddhist prayer. If that's the case, benefactor, then stay here today. He finally made his move. The Buddha crown on his head bloomed with golden light, transforming into a golden sword that slashed towards Lin Mo. At the same time, Buddhist sounds lingered, directly impacting the soul. Outside the soul world, a Buddha statue appeared. The Buddha statue recited scriptures, wanting to influence the soul. Under the Buddhist sounds, the soul's reaction slowed down, and actions would become stiff. And in the outside world, there was a sword formed from Buddha light, carrying out the attack. Lin Mo's soul quality was too high, completely ignoring the Buddhist sounds. But he didn't dodge. Undulations appeared around his body, faintly revealing a large number of bones. The sword slashed on the bones, encountering some resistance, then the golden sword broke through the bone defense and landed on Lin Mo's body. Lin Mo stood still, enduring the sword head-on, shaking his head and saying, not enough power. His body was also flashing with golden light. The fleshly body of a second-stage godly king, coupled with a damaged transfera, flawlessly received this sword. Lesser Buddha's face changed. Troublesome, everyone attack together, we can't let him leave. Soul-devouring lesser godly Venerable sneered, don't worry, he won't be able to leave. At this time, Lin Mo took out a piece of flesh that exuded the aura of a godly Venerable. Trading for 2 lesser godly Venerables, I wonder if it's worth it. Forget it, let's make it a quick battle. With a thought, the bone hell descended, instantly enveloping the two. Before the two could break through the bone hell, beautiful fireworks suddenly exploded on their bodies. Soul-devouring lesser godly Venerable let out a scream, his body blasted into pieces. Golden light lesser Buddha also screamed, his body shattered, but at this time, the golden kasaya shone brightly, forcibly pulling his shattered body back together. Golden light lesser Buddha suffered heavy injuries, but protected by the golden kasaya, he didn't die. He was terrified, not knowing what means Lin Mo had used. But none of that mattered. What mattered was that he had to escape, immediately escape. He realized that he had provoked the wrong person. The guy in front of him was a complete freak. Just as he turned around, his eyes suddenly went dark. A huge behemoth descended from the sky. Chapter 1453. What happens when breaking through to godly Venerable? Before golden light lesser Buddha could see what it was, he was heavily pressed down. The Skeleton King, 10,000 meters in size, descended from the sky with undead flames. It just so happened to press down on the fleeing golden light lesser Buddha. Lin Mo chuckled, this seems a bit too coincidental. Golden light lesser Buddha's body erupted with brilliant golden light, the prayer beads in his hand flew out, transforming into a 100-meter Buddha statue in midair. The 100-meter Buddha statue raised its hand to lift the Skeleton King. The Buddha statue's power was enormous. The Skeleton King, of unknown weight, was easily lifted by him. The golden light Buddha flew out from within in a disheveled manner, flying away without looking back. The Skeleton King lay on the ground, trying hard to wave the bone sword in its hand. It couldn't get up, but that didn't prevent it from using God's slaying sword. A bright sword light suddenly lit up on the golden light lesser Buddha's body. Amidst screams, the sword light devoured him. Golden Light Lesser Buddha still didn't die, the Golden Kasaya saved his life again. The Golden Kasaya blocked fatal attacks for him twice in a row, multiple parts of the Kasaya were damaged, and at the same time, Golden Light Lesser Buddha's injuries became more serious. The bone hell arrived as scheduled, falling on him again amidst his screams. Undead flames attacked from all directions, and at the same time, more than a dozen 9th stage godly king level wondrous spirits inside attacked at the same time, attacking Golden Light Lesser Buddha with squeezing force. If it were normal times, Golden Light Lesser Buddha wouldn't care about their attacks at all. But now he was seriously injured, these attacks became the last straw that broke the camel's back. Golden Light Buddha screamed repeatedly, at this time Lin Mo pointed a finger. A red light fell. Fusion skill. Time curse. His soul was attacked. Golden Light Buddha let out an even more shrill scream. At this time, the Buddha crown on his head shone brightly, countless golden streamers drilled into his head, quickly stabilizing his injuries and removing the pain. Truly a good thing, it can be used for both attack and healing. Lin Mo said jokingly, but the attack didn't relax. His aura rose steadily, quickly breaking through his own realm limits. Origin skill. Power gathering. In the blink of an eye, Lin Mo had broken through the 9th stage of Godly Venerable, arriving at the realm of Lesser Godly Venerable. At this time, Lin Mo looked relaxed, neither his body nor his soul felt any pressure. He felt that he could continue to improve, with the power of the origin skill and the vast undead army, he could completely break through to the Godly Venerable realm. Just as he was preparing to break through to see the scenery of the Godly Venerable realm, he suddenly stopped. He realized that if he broke through to the Godly Venerable realm here, it might cause big trouble. This world does not allow entry above the Godly Venerable realm, the limit is the Lesser Godly Venerable realm. It's better not to break the rules. Lin Mo chuckled, stopping his realm at the peak of Lesser Godly Venerable. He glanced at the Golden Light Buddha, who had already run tens of thousands of kilometers away, casually took out a true God realm long sword, and waved it casually. God-slaying sword, an even more powerful God-slaying sword than the Skeleton King. The sword light flashed past, and then exploded on the Golden Light Lesser Buddha tens of thousands of miles away. The Kasaya on Golden Light Lesser Buddha's body completely collapsed, this time the Kasaya could no longer withstand the attack, completely destroyed. The remaining power blasted into Golden Light Lesser Buddha's body, tearing his body into pieces. From the broken body, a small soul broke out and fled into the distance. The Buddha races Lesser Buddha, you really have a lot of treasures. Unfortunately, you can't escape. Golden Light Lesser Buddha's soul was protected by a golden ring, which saved him from death. But without a body, the soul became extremely fragile. Lesser Buddha is, after all, just a Lesser Buddha, not a true Buddha. Their souls have not yet entered the Lost Star River, have not been baptized by the Lost Star River, the soul is still much worse. Now, just a few high-level God Kings would be enough to kill it. Unfortunately, Lin Mo Yu had placed a large number of skeleton God generals around, numbering in the thousands. With the mark of the bone hell, no matter where it fled, Lin Mo Yu would sense it. There was no way it could escape the pursuit of the skeleton God generals. Under the undead vision, the golden light of the little Buddha's soul fire was so dazzlingly conspicuous on the vast plain that it could be easily captured. Sharp sword energies came from all directions. The goblins and monsters he had previously looked down upon had now become vengeful spirits. The little golden Buddha was in a terrible state, dodging and hiding, but to no avail. Lin Mo Yu had already collected his spoils and followed closely behind. Just half an hour later, Lin Mo Yu once again caught up with the little golden Buddha. As the bone hell descended, the little golden Buddha's soul was filled with despair. Besides despair, there was also terror, as he saw the soul-devouring little God Lord in the bone hell. At this moment, the soul-devouring little God Lord had turned completely grey and launched the most violent attack on him. "You are a devil," the little golden Buddha roared in despair. But it was useless, Lin Mo Yu responded with a sneer. Knowing that there was no chance of survival, the little golden Buddha suddenly put his hands together and chanted a Buddhist mantra. An unnamed scripture was uttered from his mouth, and it felt somewhat off to Lin Mo Yu's ears. The little golden Buddha's soul became solidified and powerful within the scripture. The Buddhist light grew stronger and stronger, and he transformed into a golden Buddha. Not a little Buddha, but a true Buddha. Becoming a Buddha on the spot. Lin Mo Yu thought of a secret technique of the Buddhist clan, instant Buddhahood. In a short period of time, he transformed into a Buddha, possessing the battle power of a Buddha. However, this secret technique was a closely guarded secret within the Buddhist clan, and very few people knew it. It was used as a last resort, and once used, it would result in minor or severe injuries or even immediate nirvana. Lin Moyu frowned, not expecting the little Buddha to have such a move. As the Buddha image took shape, Lin Moyu's expression suddenly changed drastically, and he turned into a stream of light and fled into the distance. The alarm bells in his soul were ringing loudly, just like when the ancient Buddha's palm print had attacked him. Lin Moyu didn't even think about it and fled as fast as he could. Moreover, the danger this time was even greater than last time, and not escaping would mean certain death. The Buddha Kingdom Lich appeared behind him, and he used the truth-seeking technique. Lin Moyu saw a glimpse of the future and immediately knew what to do. The 127 skeleton god generals disappeared one after another, all of them recalled. The bone hell also disappeared without a trace. Lin Moyu didn't dare to leave even a trace of his footprints, who knew if the other party would track him down through some method. The little golden Buddha, who had just completed instant Buddhahood, was stunned. Although he had become a Buddha on the spot, he had no physical body or Lost Star River, and his battle power was not comparable to that of a true God Lord. He was actually unwilling to die like this. But why did Lin Moyu run away so decisively? He was stunned on the spot, stunned for a full 2 seconds. By the time he recovered and wanted to chase, the originally dim sky suddenly turned a fiery red. The firelight hidden behind the clouds suddenly revealed itself, illuminating the entire earth in a fiery red. Lin Moyu had already run tens of thousands of miles away, and the world before him suddenly turned red. He looked up and his mind was shaken. Above the clouds, where was there any firelight, it was all scarlet light of curse. The scarlet curse contained a power that made people despair. The type of curse can generally be distinguished by color, and red curses are basically attack-type curses. They either attack the soul or the physical body, or both. The red light in the sky was an attack-type curse, an incomparably huge curse. A terrifying pressure descended on the earth, and Lin Moyu was immediately pressed to the ground, unable to move. He finally understood what kind of consequences breaking through to the God Lord realm here would bring, certain death. In his sight, a red light descended from the sky and landed on the little golden Buddha. Chapter 1454. Terrifying and Powerful Curse. The blood-colored red light, with a hint of enchanting beauty, stung Lin Moyu's eyes. Lin Moyu's eyes were filled with tears, and the pain was overwhelming, but he still endured the pain, and didn't even want to switch to the undead vision. This was an almost extreme curse power, a power far more powerful than the other shore. He was fortunate enough to witness it, and he had to see it clearly. If he missed this village, there would be no such shop. In the red light, the little golden Buddha, who had just become a Buddha on the spot, was silently annihilated. He couldn't even last for 0.1 seconds, and had completely disappeared from the world. The red light gradually disappeared, the clouds once again covered the earth, and the world returned from bright red to dim. Fortunately, I wasn't implicated. At this moment, Lin Moyu was somewhat thankful. Fortunately, he had recalled all the skeleton god generals and had not left a trace of himself. Just now in the truth-seeking technique, he saw the curse fall and instantly kill the little golden Buddha. Then the curse found the skeleton god generals and the bone hell next to it. Through the connection between the two, he was found again. His end was no surprise, joining the little golden Buddha in the Yellow Springs. So he unhesitatingly recalled everything related to him. Cut off all connections and changed the future direction. Luckily, he was saved. The truth-seeking technique was indeed a good thing, once again allowing him to escape death and save his life. He was now very clear about what the consequences of breaking through to the God Lord realm here would be, certain death. He carefully went over to check, and confirmed that the little golden Buddha had indeed not left anything behind. Actually, it couldn't be said that he didn't leave anything behind. Lin Moyu still had the little golden Buddha's flesh and blood in his hand, but he didn't dare to take it out now, nor did he dare to turn him into a revenant. Who knew if that curse would come knocking on his door again? For safety's sake, let's leave here first. He looked up at the sky, then retracted his gaze. He knew that these things were not something he could come into contact with yet, and if he insisted on coming into contact with them, it would be a dead end. Lin Moyu made a decision and returned to the location of the flower earlier. He took out the spoils he had obtained from the little golden Buddha. In this great battle, he had harvested a total of 3 spoils. a golden bowl, a string of Buddhist beads, and a Buddha crown. Among them, the golden bowl and Buddhist beads were intact, and the Buddha crown had cracks and had been somewhat damaged in the battle. As for the 18-leaf golden lotus, the gold thread kasaya, and the golden ring that protected the soul in the end, they had all been shattered. The golden bowl, Buddhist beads, and Buddha crown were all high-level magic treasures in the God King realm. The only drawback was that they had not given birth to artifact spirits. If artifact spirits were born, then they would be top-grade magic treasures in the God King realm. The Buddhist clan is really richy one halfa. Lin Moyu put away the Buddhist beads and the Buddha crown, these two things were useless to him. What he valued was the golden bowl. Previously, I deliberately used words to provoke Golden Light Little Buddha, forcing him into a desperate situation where he had no choice but to attack me. This way, my skeleton hell could mark him. Otherwise, if he wanted to leave, it would be difficult for me to stop him. The Shadow Stone was a means to force him to take action. As for soul-devouring little god, Lin Moyu didn't take him seriously at all. However, Lin Moyu was also curious about what these two were doing here. Clearly, they had a purpose and didn't come casually. Judging by their direction, it could be determined that they came to find the flower. Guessing was too troublesome, and Lin Moyu was too lazy to guess. The best way was to revive Golden Light Little Buddha and ask him, but he didn't dare to do so now. Lin Moyu slapped his forehead, wondering why he was so curious. It's none of my business what they're here for. If I really want to know, I can just revive him and ask him after I get out. He refocused his attention on the golden bowl. Golden Light Little Buddha was dead, and the golden bowl had become an unowned object. Injecting soul power into it, Lin Moyu quickly mastered the use of the golden bowl and learned its purpose. The golden bowl had two functions, containment and purification. The containment function served the purpose of purification. Any kind of law could be contained and purified. The speed of purification depended on the power of the contained object and the strength of the user. However, this function was useless to Lin Moyu, as purification required the use of Buddhist techniques. Lin Moyu didn't understand Buddhist techniques at all, so he couldn't use this function. But he could use the containment function to contain foreign objects and release them all at once or multiple times. However, there was a limit to the containment. The number couldn't be too large. For example, with the previous pollen, the number of pollen contained at the same time couldn't exceed 30 grains. There were thousands upon thousands of pollen grains, and 30 grains of pollen were just a drop in the bucket. But for Lin Moyu, it was enough. After the previous curses, Lin Moyu had grasped the pattern. Based on 1 grain of pollen, the power of the curse was 100. Then, for each additional grain of pollen, the power of the curse increased by 50. The curse power triggered by 2 grains of pollen was 150, and 3 grains of pollen were 200, and so on. Previously, without using status immunity, Lin Moyu could easily withstand the curse power triggered by 10 grains of pollen. 10 grains of pollen were no longer very useful to Lin Moyu. If the soul wanted to continue to improve, it was necessary to increase the number of pollen grains. There was a large amount of pollen everywhere, but in the area tens of thousands of meters away, the pollen was relatively scattered. Moreover, to stack the power of the curse, it was necessary to touch the pollen at the same time. The more the number, the more difficult this condition became to achieve. Only in the area within 10,000 meters, where the number of pollen grains increased sharply, could this condition be easily met. In the prediction of the truth-seeking skill, after he entered the 10,000-meter area, he would continuously encounter a large amount of pollen, triggering a powerful curse. Because of the existence of status immunity, these curses would not kill him, but they would put him in a state of sluggishness for a long time, making it difficult to escape. Also, because of the existence of status immunity, it constantly expelled the power of the curse, which prevented him from fighting with all his heart, making it difficult for the soul to be tempered and unable to improve effectively. Status immunity could save lives, but it was also a shackle. Therefore, Lin Moyu needed a way to control the pollen. Unexpectedly, Golden Light Little Buddha delivered the treasure to his door. In addition, Golden Light Little Buddha was traveling with demons and had also destroyed his skeleton god general, giving him a reason to kill and seize treasure. Lin Moyu returned to the area outside the 10,000-meter radius, less than 10 meters away from the pollen. Holding the golden bowl, he activated it. A suction force rose from the golden bowl and began to suck the pollen into it. Lin Moyu controlled the range, and the suction only covered the space between one finger. The number of pollen grains in the space between one finger was relatively limited, making it easier to control. The pollen, which was difficult to see with the naked eye, was sucked over. When entering the golden bowl, the pollen was covered by golden light and also bloomed with specks of golden light. The number of pollen grains Lin Moyu absorbed was not large, only 12 grains. 12 grains of pollen, the curse power increased by about 20% compared to before, which was just right for tempering the soul. It would not cause serious damage to the soul's will, but it could form enough pressure. Various despairing emotions grew in the deepest part of the soul, affecting Lin Moyu's every thought. Lin Moyu used his will to fight against the despairing emotions, not daring to relax in the slightest. Under strong pressure, the soul gradually became stronger in the constant, extreme confrontations. In the Buddhist world, the light of Buddha shines throughout the starry sky, illuminating large areas of the star field with golden splendor. Amitabha. Suddenly, a Buddhist chant resounded through the universe. The Buddhist chant was filled with sorrow, and the light of Buddha transformed into golden raindrops, falling in the Buddhist world. Everyone knew that a Buddha had fallen. Chants of the Buddha sounded non-stop. This was already the second time a Buddha had fallen recently. Chapter 1455 Find a way to guide him to the Buddhist clan. The fall of a Buddha was like the fall of a god in the human clan. The light of Buddha turned into golden rain, drifting in the Buddhist world. Many Buddhists were in grief, chanting the name of Buddha. In the core world of the Buddhist clan, flowers bloomed here, and the light of Buddha was as thick as liquid. Buddhas sitting in the void could be seen everywhere. This was the pure land of ultimate bliss, the holy land of the Buddhist clan. At this time, the holy land of the Buddhist clan was also raining, golden light rain. A huge Buddha with a golden sun wheel on his back appeared in the light rain. He had a bitter expression on his face, and his whole body revealed ancient vicissitudes. Greetings, ancient Buddha. All the Buddhas in the sky saluted him at the same time. The one who appeared was actually an ancient Buddha. The ancient Buddha spoke. Golden light little Buddha became a Buddha on the spot before his death. Does anyone know where he went? The huge voice sounded, as if talking to himself, and also as if asking the Buddhas in the sky. After a while, a Buddha said, Golden light should have gone to the vermilion bird battlefield. Before leaving, he had contacted the soul-devouring little god of the demon clan, seemingly to make a deal. Another heavy voice sounded, I know about this. There is a half-seated Buddha statue in the demon clan. Golden light should have traded with him for this. All the Buddhas in the sky knew the role of the seated Buddha statue. Even if it was only half of it, it was very likely that golden light little Buddha could evolve the Buddhist kingdom. 687. Whether there was a Buddhist kingdom or not made a world of difference to the combat power after becoming a Buddha. It was very normal for golden light little Buddha to trade with the demon clan for this reason. The ancient Buddha pondered for a few seconds, ordered someone to go to the demon clan and ask where the two went, and whether the soul-devouring little god is still alive. According to Buddha's decree, a Buddha slowly got up, turned into a golden stream of light, and disappeared in an instant. The ancient Buddha continued, a few days ago, Buddha Lokachi fell. I used Buddha's thoughts as a guide to strike a palm. According to the induction, this palm also went to the vermilion bird battlefield. You also go and inquire about it. As soon as he finished speaking, another Buddha got up and left the pure land of ultimate bliss. The ancient Buddha spoke again, I heard that on the must-kill list of each clan, a little guy from the human clan named Lin Moyu is at the top of the list. Does anyone know this person? A Buddha said in a deep voice, does the ancient Buddha still remember that a powerhouse from the other shore of the human clan came in person a few years ago? This incident was a major event that had occurred in the Buddhist clan in recent years, and the ancient Buddha naturally knew about it. At that time, a beyond expert from the human race personally arrived to demand justice for a junior of the human race. The human race expert was very assertive at the time and did not listen to the Buddhist explanations at all. In the end, the Buddhist race chose to back down, stopped preaching Buddhism, and no longer investigated the cause of Kong Wen Buddha's death. It was just that the Buddhist race AFDB didn't know at the time who the human race expert was seeking justice for. Now it seems that it was to seek justice for Lin Moyu. The ancient Buddha pondered for a few seconds, everyone can pay attention to this child, and if there is a chance, bring him into the Buddhist race. Being ranked at the top of the must-kill list of all races, his talent and aptitude naturally need no further explanation. If such a talent can be brought into the Buddhist race, it may be possible to achieve another ancient Buddha in the future. A Buddha said, "This matter may be a bit difficult. As far as I know, he has already entered the sight of the human race's high level, and the various races have tried to kill him several times, but they have all been resolved." The ancient Buddha said in a deep voice, "Just do your best, don't force it. If it's not possible, it can only be said that the fate has not arrived. Some things, it's not that he doesn't want to, it's just that it's really not easy to do. If Lin Moyu has really entered the sight of the human race's high level, he can't act rashly. If he's not careful, it might attract retaliation from a beyond expert." Lin Moyu woke up from a curse, and his soul had become much stronger again. The purple light in the soul became more and more intense, and it had begun to spread to the limbs. At this time, the number of pollen grains he controlled had reached 20. After dozens more times, he would be able to let the purple light occupy all areas except the head. When the head is also occupied by the purple light, the soul will be completely transformed into a purple jade soul, reaching the 5th grade. A 5th grade soul is a sign of the beyond realm. Of course, soul quality is soul quality, and realm is realm. Reaching the 5th grade in soul quality only means that Lin Moyu has cleared a major obstacle to stepping into the beyond. After he successfully reaches the 9th rank of God Venerate, he will not encounter bottlenecks and can relatively smoothly step into the beyond. He triggered the curse again to temper himself. As time passed day by day, the curses that Lin Moyu triggered became stronger and stronger. Each time, he touched 30 pollen grains at the same time, reaching the limit of the golden nail's containment. The purple light in his soul had already occupied all areas except his head, only one step away from the 5th grade purple jade soul. In fact, Lin Moyu had already reached this level 3 days ago. At that time, he could touch 26 pollen grains at once. When he found that his soul was no longer improving, he began to touch 28 pollen grains, but the result was still the same. Then, he used the golden nail to increase the pollen to 30 grains. The pressure did increase, and he could feel his will becoming more firm and less susceptible to influence. However, the purple light was still the same as before, and did not spread towards his head. The soul stagnated. Lin Moyu felt that he should have encountered some bottleneck. A 5th grade soul is not so easy to achieve. With Zhu Qiwu's talent, he was trapped in this step for thousands of years. There are more God Venerates who simply cannot break through and eventually die of old age in the God Venerate realm. Once this step is crossed, it is another world. Like the world above and below the God level in the small world, they are completely different worlds. It seems that seeking stability is not enough, we need to seek change. Use quantitative change to trigger qualitative change. Lin Moyu put away the golden bowl, which was useless at this time. Looking at the pollen all over the ground, the Buddhist lich appeared beside him. Using the truth-seeking technique, Lin Moyu wanted to see his future through the truth-seeking technique. He used his own thoughts as a guide, stirred the laws of fate, and glimpsed some fragments of the future. In the picture, he gave up the control of the golden bowl and instantly attracted hundreds of pollen grains to fall on him. A powerful curse descended, and he fell into a daze again. Waves of pollen flew over, and the curse continued. Because there were too many pollen grains and the curse was too strong, he couldn't resist with his own strength, and finally had to use state immunity. With the help of state immunity, he spent a lot of effort to finally get rid of the curse. The picture also ended here. At the end of the picture, Lin Moyu saw his own eyes. The future self, there was no excitement in his eyes, but some loss. No clear answer was given, but the eyes had already explained everything. Lin Moyu judged from his eyes that the method he thought of had not succeeded. Bringing in a large amount of pollen at the same time did not cause qualitative change from quantitative change. Did I still fail? It seems this method won't work. Lin Moyu muttered to himself, pondered for a moment, and thought of another possibility. His eyes fell on the flowers 10,000 meters away, and he used the truth-seeking technique again. This time, he changed his mind and looked for new possibilities. The laws of fate were stirred again, conveying the secrets of the future to Lin Moyu. In this idea, Lin Moyu skipped the pollen and directly touched the huge flower 10,000 meters away. He launched an insignificant attack on the flower. The attack was only at the 3rd rank of God King. In terms of the flower's existence level before its death, the mere 3rd rank of God King was not even a tickle. Even if it was dead, it was still nothing. The slight attack attracted the flower's counterattack. In the picture, the flower glowed all over, and a blue mental curse fell on him. This curse was obviously stronger than the curse caused by pollen, and Lin Moyu fell into a daze in an instant. Then, in less than a second, his body exploded. Chapter 1456. The wonderfully useful truth-seeking technique. The future self exploded. It was suicide. Lin Moyu knew that his idea had failed again. Seeing his future self explode with his own eyes, he couldn't help but feel a little palpitation. Actively attacking the flower and triggering the flower's curse was an unfeasible idea. The flower was a powerful existence in the Tulu race before its death. Even if it was dead, even if it had experienced countless years, its power still existed. It had set a curse for itself, and both the pollen and itself were conditions for triggering the curse. Pollen was okay, Lin Moyu could still bear it. But the curse of the flower body was enough to kill him. He didn't even know how many times he would be killed. After the self-explosion, the talent was activated and he was reborn, but would the power of the curse still exist? And even if there was no curse, would his will and soul be severely damaged? All kinds of possibilities made him dare not gamble, and could not gamble. Lin Moyu had a sense of crisis step by step. In this world shrouded in curses, one wrong step would cost him his life. He fell into deep thought again, thinking through everything that had happened before, and understanding it. Comprehensively considering the causes and consequences, he reviewed the situation. Gradually, Lin Moyu thought of some possibilities. Using pollen was definitely not possible. Quantitative change could not cause qualitative change. If he wanted to take his soul a step further, he needed a transformation. It was useless to just increase the power of the curse, he also needed to improve the level. It was like 100 god venerates, although powerful after joining forces, they were not as good as a half step beyond expert. Increasing the quantity does increase the power, but it cannot improve the level. Pollen is always at the level of pollen, not beyond. 1. No matter the quantity, it never reaches the other shore. However, to truly transform the soul, a curse from the other shore realm is needed. Furthermore, the power of the curse cannot be too strong, it needs to be just enough to reach the other shore. If it's too strong, I won't be able to withstand it, and I'll either use a status immunity, greatly reducing the effect, or I'll die on the spot, ending in failure. Lin Moyu had a mature idea, but whether this idea was feasible was still uncertain. If it were someone else, they could only experiment, and if the experiment failed, they would pay a huge price. But Lin Moyu had another way. The existence of the Buddha country lich allowed him to communicate with the future through his thoughts and see a certain possibility. Although it might not be completely accurate, it could always reveal clues, which was enough. In his mind, Lin Moyu recalled the flower bud he had seen before. The unopened flower bud was a powerful existence in the other shore realm. At that time, he triggered its curse and was almost killed. It was the best subject for his idea. He simulated in his mind, trying to trigger the curse of the flower bud, and then used the truth-seeking art with this thought. He hypothesized that he encountered a flower bud he had encountered before, and then used an undead rebirth to revive it, so that it would curse him. Relying on his memory, Lin Moyu truly created something from nothing. The truth-seeking art was used silently and quickly received feedback. The law of destiny actually recognized Lin Moyu's operation and really returned the corresponding information. In the future envisioned by Lin Moyu, he once again encountered an unopened flower bud. In the undead flames, the flower bud was reborn and the soul was reorganized. Then, it resisted the control of a undead rebirth and simultaneously cast a curse on Lin Moyu, cursing the guy who dared to desecrate it. Lin Moyu fell into a daze under the curse, but he didn't explode. The curse of the flower bud was much weaker than the curse of the flower. It was also weaker than the curse of the strange tree. Lin Moyu didn't let a status immunity dispel the curse, but relied on his own will and power to resist the erosion of the curse. If it had been before, he would never have been able to do it. But after repeated tempering by curses, both his will and soul were much stronger than they were initially. Seconds later, his eyes regained clarity, and he successfully resisted the curse. At the same time, a look of excitement appeared in his eyes. The picture shattered again and ended, and the truth-seeking art ended there. Lin Moyu clenched his fists, with some excitement. It really works. His idea had come true, it really could be done this way. Although the curse of the flower bud reached the level of the other shore, it could not really kill him. The change in level could stimulate the purple light in the soul and allow the soul to improve again. From the look in his eyes at the end of the picture, Lin Moyu had already seen the answer. Not bad, not bad. Lin Moyu deeply understood the magic of the truth-seeking art, which could not only avoid danger but also find a path for cultivation. He somewhat understood the true meaning of the truth-seeking art. Seeking the truth, whether it is the truth of seeking life or the truth of seeking strength, can be evolved and changed through the future. What a magical technique. I really don't know what kind of amazing talent the person who created this technique was. The truth-seeking art communicates with the law of destiny, and the person who uses it doesn't need to understand the law of destiny at all. The person who created it must have mastered the law of destiny to a very deep level, otherwise, it would be impossible to create such a magical technique. 0 Seeking fresh flowers 0 People who can create secret techniques based on laws are more admirable than those who simply control laws. Since ancient times, there have not been many such people. Many people can only master some of the techniques they awaken and cannot create secret techniques that others can learn. Most people only know what it is, but they don't know why. They can perfectly use the laws, but they don't know how to make the laws available to others. Since the simulation has been successful through the truth-seeking art, the next step is to find the flower bud. The Tulu realm is so vast and boundless that there cannot be only one flower bud. Millions of skeleton god warriors have already been released, and the map in my mind has become extremely vast. A large number of basins have been discovered. Each basin contains a hole leading to the great world. 10,000 basins form a square formation, and outside the square formation are strange trees like hills. In the ancient war, the soldiers in the basins died in battle and their bodies disappeared. Although the strange tree, as a general, also died, his body was preserved, and it was covered in curses. In addition to a large number of newly discovered basin strange trees, there are also small dots on the map in my mind. These small dots are the flower buds. The flower buds were all discovered during Lin Moyu's enjoyment of the torment of the curse, and now they can be put to good use. Lin Moyu quickly ran towards the nearest flower bud. I don't know what realm the soldiers in the basin are in, they shouldn't be at the other shore. If they reach the other shore realm, even if they die, their bodies can be preserved and cannot be worn away by the years. And the soldiers who have not reached the other shore, even if their bodies were preserved at the beginning, will eventually be worn away by the years. Lin Moyu had a new understanding of the other shore. What is the other shore? This is a completely new realm. In the great world, the transcendent God realm is the realm that distinguishes ordinary people from cultivators. And the other shore seems to be the distinction between cultivators entering another level. The flower bud appeared in sight. The 50-meter-high flower bud has not yet bloomed and is still in its infancy, but it has already entered the other shore. The Tulu race is a terrible race. It just encountered an even more terrible opponent. Lin Moyu stopped in front of the flower bud and did not immediately act. He once again summoned the Buddha country lich and performed a review with the truth-seeking art. This time, it was no longer his imagination, but there was a real flower bud as a reference, and the result of the truth-seeking art would be more accurate. Chapter 1457. Fighting for 5th grade, Taking a Chance with Life. With a real reference, the result obtained by the truth-seeking art was not much different from the result he had imagined. This time, Lin Moyu was truly relieved. After all, it was a matter of life, so he had to be careful. With preparations complete, a ball of undead flame popped out from his fingertip and landed on the flower bud. The bright red flower bud immediately rose into a huge 50-meter-high pillar of fire, turning into a gray fire mass. Lin Moyu was prepared to welcome the curse at any time. The flower bud's soul reorganized and regained consciousness. Its aura grew stronger and stronger, and the aura of the other shore realm rose. It was a native creature of the Tulu realm, and the curse in the air did not attack it. As in the predicted fragment of the future, a undead rebirtha could not control the strong in the other shore realm. The flower bud began to fight against the technique, vying for control. At the same time, it launched a curse attack on the perpetrator. The bright red flower bud released a blue mental curse. 583. In an instant, various negative emotions flooded into his mind. 2. Lin Mo's gaze was dull, the world turned gray, and he had no hope for the future. I should die. Living is meaningless, go die. No, you must live, you have to live. The thought of suicide kept rising, but it was forcibly suppressed and erased by a strong will. Pessimistic emotions came one after another, and so did Lin Mo's will, suppressing and erasing them time and time again. The two sides fought fiercely, vying for dominance. In the end, Lin Mo gained the upper hand. The power of the curse was not endless, and it finally ran out after a few seconds. At this time, the battle between the flower bone and undead resurrection also reached the final stage. Undead resurrection could not control it, so it chose to destroy it. The flower bone exploded, turning into powder and disappearing without a trace, leaving only a huge hole underground. Lin Mo didn't care about its life or death, but checked his soul state. Upon seeing it, he was overjoyed. His stagnant soul had indeed become stronger. The purple light spread from his neck towards his head. According to this, it will take about 20 times to transform the soul into a 5th-grade purple jade soul. He began to look for flower buds, resurrecting them again and again, triggering the curse. Watching his soul gradually transform into a 5th-grade purple jade soul, Lin Mo was full of motivation. Several days later, the entire soul was filled with purple. However, the soul did not transform and was still at the peak of the 4th grade. This was the true peak of the 4th grade, only a trace away from the 5th grade, but this trace became extremely difficult. The curse tempering of the flower bud also reached its limit, unable to help Lin Mo complete the transformation completely. Lin Mo knew that he needed a stronger curse. The flower bud was a young form, and the blooming flower was its fully grown form. The flower must not be touched, as touching it would definitely lead to death. Lin Mo immediately set his sights on the strange tree. In his cognition, both were other shores, but the flower bud was the weakest, the strange tree was slightly stronger, and the blooming flower was the strongest. Since the flower bud was useless and the flower could not be touched, only the strange tree remained. Lin Mo took a deep breath, went to the strange tree, and first used the truth-seeking technique, which gave him a positive result. The future fragment was thrilling but safe. Lin Mo saw that he had succeeded. However, at the end of the scene, Lin Mo saw a look of panic in the depths of his eyes. Panic. Lin Mo was stunned. How could there be panic? Could it be that something unexpected happened? He used the truth-seeking technique again and saw the exact same scene again. This time, Lin Mo looked very carefully and confirmed that it was indeed a look of panic. He knew his own eyes very well. In this world, if there was anything unpredictable, there was only one thing. Lin Mo looked up at the sky, the dim sky, the thick clouds, and the red curse hidden behind the clouds. The red curse behind the clouds was the greatest danger in this world. Lin Mo murmured to himself, it should be that the transformation of the soul triggered the attack of the curse. Not only is the realm above God Venerable not allowed in terms of power level, but also a 5th-grade soul is not allowed. If that's the case, Lin Mo thought of a solution. He wanted to use the truth-seeking technique to see if his solution could resolve the crisis. But the result disappointed him. The truth-seeking technique did not give an accurate answer. Because the crisis he faced would only be triggered under certain conditions. The trigger condition was that his soul transformed from a 4th-grade jade soul into a 5th-grade purple jade soul. But this condition also had a prerequisite, which was to withstand the curse of the strange tree. The future moment was very short, and he could not skip the strange tree curse and see what happened after that. It seems that the truth-seeking technique is not omnipotent, it can only calculate one step, not 2 or 3 steps. My idea should be correct, either I leave now and give up the soul transformation. Or I must face this danger. But giving up the soul transformation is not worth it. The curse above cannot be stopped, I can only find a way to avoid it. But how can I avoid it? Lin Mo thought about it and soon came up with a solution. This solution seemed useful, but it could not be verified. Will it work? What if my idea is wrong? Then I will face death. Gamble or not gamble, using a life to gamble for a 5th-grade soul, is this deal worth it? In the entanglement, he had an answer in his heart. Lin Mo was ready to die, he decided to take a gamble. The temptation of the 5th-grade soul was too great, so great that it was worth him risking his life for it. Now that he had made a decision, Lin Mo would no longer hesitate. After preparing, he popped out the undead flame. Stellar level spell, Undead Resurrection. The flames enveloped the strange tree, and the entire mountain was burning, spreading for 10,000 meters. The soul of the strange tree was being reorganized, and its consciousness was being revived. It was obviously stronger than the flower bud. Before its consciousness had fully recovered, it had already begun to fight against undead resurrection. At the same time, like the flower bud, it also targeted Lin Mo, the instigator. Die! Lin Mo seemed to hear a roar. The roar carried boundless killing intent, and a red light appeared above his head. The curse descended, condensing into a blood-colored axe outside the soul world, directly chopping on the crystal barrier. Lin Mo lost his ability to think, his gaze was dull, and all his thoughts were concentrated in his soul. Although there was no pessimistic emotion, the danger he faced this time was much greater than before. Fortunately, Lin Mo was much stronger than before. His soul was strong, and the crystal barrier was also stronger. The giant axe chopped on the crystal barrier, and the soul world vibrated violently, but this time the crystal barrier did not break. The method of dealing with soul attack curses is different from the method of dealing with mental curses. Mental curses need to be resisted with will, while soul attack curses need to be resisted with the soul. The giant tree of talent stretched out madly, whipping the giant axe. The 9-colored dragon soul crystal roared, also conjuring a phantom, attacking the giant axe. The undead army appeared in the soul, fearlessly rushing towards the giant axe. Lin Mo held the scourge scepter, casting a time curse towards the giant axe, while charging forward, actively rushing out of the soul world, fighting fiercely with the giant axe. Lin Mo, like a general, led his soul and engaged in a life and death battle with the enemy. Chapter 1458. This kind of thing, how can it be tolerated? The battle in the soul world was extremely fierce. Lin Mo fought to the death, giving the soul a strong pressure, and also becoming the driving force for the soul to move forward. The purple light in the soul became stronger and stronger, gradually beginning to transform. Outside, the battle between Undead Resurrection and the strange tree also reached its end. Undead Resurrection could not control the strange tree and began to destroy it. The strange tree was resurrected with great difficulty and was unwilling to die easily, still resisting. Unfortunately, it was already a dead tree. It could resist being controlled, but not the fate of being destroyed. Finally, it collapsed and exploded. At the same moment, Lin Mo also dispelled the power of the curse, and his soul began to transform. A brilliant purple erupted from the soul world, permeating the outside world, seeping out from every inch of his skin. A strange aura rose from his soul. Lin Mo's consciousness returned, but he had not fully regained control of his body. The clouds in the sky changed, and red light began to dominate the earth, and a powerful pressure emerged. A skeleton god general transformed into a stream of light, instantly arrived in front of Lin Mo, picked up Lin Mo and rushed into the pit left after the monster tree died. The whole process happened in a flash, and the total time was less than 0.1 seconds. Lin Mo had not yet regained control of his body. The skeleton god general, holding Lin Mo, rushed madly towards the vortex. The two plunged into the vortex, accelerating, constantly accelerating. There were countless fragments in the vortex, hitting Lin Mo and the skeleton god general like raindrops. But Lin Mo had no time to pay attention. His attention penetrated the vortex, through the hole, and looked at the Turu realm, which was already shrouded in red. At this moment, he could do nothing but pray. He knew that when the curse descended, he would surely die. So he had to escape the Turu realm before the curse descended. There was only one way to escape, and that was the Great Vortex. The Great Vortex could take him away. As long as he returned to the Great World, the curse in the Turu realm would not be able to kill him. He was betting that his escape speed would be faster than the curse. The vortex was still spinning, taking him to the Great World. The red light in his vision had already appeared, and the power of the curse drilled into the hole and rushed towards him. The rotation speed of the vortex seemed to be affected by the curse, slowing down a little. A sense of despair welled up in Lin Mo's heart. He kept ordering the skeleton god general to speed up, and the speed really did increase. Lin Mo realized that he was beginning to break away from the Turu race, and the laws of the Great World were beginning to take effect. The abilities of the light speed lich began to recover. The speed was getting faster and faster, and the aura of the Great World was getting stronger and stronger. But the red light was rapidly approaching, and it looked like it was about to catch up. Lin Mo regained control of his body at this time. He put away the skeleton god general and a jade tablet appeared in his hand, which he crushed directly. His body disappeared like a dream bubble, and the red curse passed through his body, came to the end of the vortex, and was blocked by an invisible barrier, eventually disappearing. The world of the Turu realm returned to darkness, and the red light hid behind the clouds again. Area 9 to 58, outside the Great Vortex, nearly 10 million kilometers away. With a slight twist in space, Lin Mo suddenly appeared here. Lin Mo's face was slightly pale, and his eyes were filled with the joy and relief of escaping death. Lin Mo let out a long breath, finally escaped. Fortunately, I left a teleportation beacon here before. It's really better to be prepared. It's useless when it's not needed, but it can save lives when it is. When the vortex was about to reach the exit, seeing the curse descending, Lin Mo activated the teleportation talisman the moment he regained control of his body. The teleportation talisman took him away from the great vortex and back to the great world. The curse did not catch up. The power of the Turu realm could not interfere with the great world. Just like the power of the great world could not interfere with the Turu realm. The vortex was the fusion point of the two worlds, mutually penetrating. "You brat, you finally came out." A familiar voice sounded in his ear, with a hint of concern in the voice. Lin Mo saw Zhu Qiwu, who was looking at him with a smile, with an expression that said, "You didn't die after all." Lin Mo was in a great mood at this time. "Senior, why are you here?" "I came to see if you were dead." Before he finished speaking, Zhu Qiwu's eyes suddenly widened. Lin Mo was emitting purple light all over his body, and his aura was getting stronger and stronger. The transformation of the soul officially began, from a 4th grade jade soul to a 5th grade purple jade soul. The difference between one grade and one word was like the difference between heaven and earth. If he took this step, the sky would be wide and the future would be limitless. If he couldn't take this step, he would eventually become a pile of bones under the passage of time. Lin Mo had no time to care about anything else. His mind sank into the soul world again, and he began to experience all the changes brought about by the soul transformation. It was not just the change of the soul individual, but also the change of the entire soul world. The soul world was rapidly expanding. The soul world, which had been completely occupied by the giant tree of talent, became empty again. The soul world had expanded 100 times, and the giant tree of talent had once again become a small tree, no longer covering the sky and the sun. And the soul body became a small dot sitting under the giant tree of talent, but the entire soul world was centered on this small dot and controlled by this small dot. The spell constellations rose into the air one after another, came to the top of the soul world, and still shone as before, with the same distinct layers. Among all the spell constellations, the one at the very top was still infinite fusion. It still ruled over all spells like an emperor. The chaos laws that spread out from it connected all the spells together, making all the spells like a whole. After the soul world expanded 100 times, the crystal barrier also transformed into purple jade, becoming a purple jade barrier. The purple jade barrier became thicker and more solid. From the 4th grade to the 5th grade, it was not only a change in scale, but also a change in essence. A river of laws suddenly appeared in the soul world. In the gray and white river of laws, the undying laws surged like waves. A large number of invisible waves flowed out from the river of laws, falling on the soul body like a waterfall. The soul body was baptized by the undying laws, becoming pure and powerful. The power of the river of laws cleansed the soul, and many impurities in the soul were cleared out. What was cleared out was not only impurities, but also other laws. The slaughter laws and lightning laws that Lin Mo had once mastered were all cleared away in this cleansing, leaving not a trace. The soul became completely pure. Lin Mo couldn't help but laugh when he saw this. Such a thing can actually happen. Is this the river of laws cleansing? It's so overbearing. Is it my undying laws that are overbearing, or is all river of laws cleansing like this? Speaking of which, I'm only at the 3rd level of God King, and my soul is being cleansed by the river of laws. Isn't this a bit too bizarre? I feel like my soul can already enter the river of laws. One thought after another emerged from his heart. Lin Mo, as the person involved, could hardly believe these changes. As for the outsider Zhu Qiwu, he was even more shocked and opened his mouth wide, his chin almost falling off, and this clone almost exploded. How is it possible? How could he reach the 5th grade purple jade soul? A 5th grade purple jade soul in the God King realm? What kind of great world joke is this? Am I in an illusion? This is impossible. He had not yet fully transformed into a 5th grade purple jade soul, and Lin Mo had preempted him. This kind of thing is intolerable. Chapter 1459, Cultivating to the Dogs. Zhu Qiwu was no longer witnessing the growth of a genius, this genius no longer needed his witnessing. This guy had unknowingly run in front of him, reached the shore earlier than him, and was still waving at him from the other side. Zhu Qiwu sighed. When the god of war rose up back then, people of his generation must have been very desperate. Not only his generation, but his predecessors would probably be desperate too. Zhu Qiwu, watching Lin Moyu's soul transformation, couldn't help but think of Xiao Zhantian, who had single-handedly broken the ancient records. Back then, Xiao Zhantian, like Lin Moyu, had risen like a comet, rapidly growing to an unparalleled level. He crushed an era, even surpassing his predecessors one by one. One can imagine that those people of that era must have felt the same mixed emotions as he did now. Zhu Qiwu had been a genius since childhood, on the verge of stepping into the other shore realm, but now, he felt like he had wasted his cultivation. Damn kid, how did he do it? I'll have to ask him later, and if he dares not tell me, I'll skin him alive. Zhu Qiwu was so angry that his teeth itched. A promising junior had suddenly surpassed him, and the frustration was indescribable. Lin Moyu was enveloped in purple light, exuding a noble aura, as if he was about to leave this world and reach another level. Strands of killing intent flew out of his body, disappearing into the void. Lin Moyu's temperament changed, becoming gentler, as if he had lost some of his sharpness. Then, lightning flew out of his body, also disappearing into the void. Lin Moyu's temperament became even gentler, like a piece of beautiful jade. A warm and gentle young master. Zhu Qiwu's pupils constricted again. Lost Star River Baptism. This brat received the Lost Star River Baptism ahead of time. There are no more obstacles to stepping into the God Venerable realm. Others spend thousands of years polishing their laws to perfection, using laws as clothing, and their souls leap into the Star River. This brat, however, abandoned the laws because of his high soul quality and directly relied on the power of his soul to receive the Lost Star River Baptism. The two seem the same, but the difference is huge. This brat's baptism is more thorough, and his soul will become cleaner. If this were to be said, it would make a lot of people envious. Even the Buddha kingdom in the Buddhist clan cannot compare. Zhu Qiwu could naturally see that the killing intent and lightning that left the body were Lin Moyu's killing law and lightning law. Under the baptism of the undying Lost Star River, these two unimportant laws were expelled, and Lin Moyu's soul and body became pure. Only the undying law remained in his body. The purple light gradually disappeared, retracted into the body, and returned to the soul world. The Lost Star River in the soul world also gradually disappeared, and the entire world returned to calm. The transformation ended, and Lin Moyu slowly opened his eyes, seeing Zhu Qiwu with a calm face. At this moment, Zhu Qiwu had put away his shocked expression, maintaining the demeanor of a senior, pretending to be calm. Not bad, it seems you have gained a lot this time. Lin Moyu nodded. Indeed, I have gained a lot. Zhu Qiwu took out his vehicle. Let's go inside and talk in detail. The small warship sailed in the void, very quietly. Inside the warship, at the small tea table, Lin Moyu familiarly made tea for Zhu Qiwu, a scene that seemed familiar. In Lin Moyu's memory, he had also made tea for several teachers in the small world. Zhu Qiwu gave him the same feeling. This old senior was really good to him. Zhu Qiwu took the tea from Lin Moyu's hands, his eyes slightly narrowed. Speak. Lin Moyu took out two image stones, activating one of them, projecting the internal picture. The picture showed a stone tablet, engraved with source ancient text. Most of the source ancient text had been erased, leaving only a few words. Lin Moyu explained, this is a stone tablet I found in the Tulu realm. Unfortunately, I don't have the ability to bring it back, so I can only record it. Zhu Qiwu clearly recognized the source ancient text and could understand the words on it. Tulu, how can you be sure it's the Tulu realm and not the Tulu race? Lin Moyu explained, you should know my spell. I can resurrect the dead in a short time. I found a corpse and learned it from his mouth. Zhu Qiwu's eyes lit up. There are still corpses inside. Lin Moyu nodded. There are quite a few. The next moment, Zhu Qiwu seemed to realize something. Billions of years of corpses are immortal, and they were probably all at the other shore realm when they were alive. Lin Moyu hummed, that should be the case. Although my spell can resurrect them, I can't control them. I almost died inside. Zhu Qiwu was even more curious. Don't keep me in suspense, explain it all at once. Then Lin Moyu roughly described the situation in the Tulu realm. Zhu Qiwu didn't say a word, listening attentively like a student listening to a teacher's lecture. In Lin Moyu's description, Zhu Qiwu finally had a new understanding of the Tulu realm. So, you used the curse inside to temper your soul, forcibly pushing your soul into a 5th grade purple jade soul. Lin Moyu hummed, that's about it, otherwise how could the soul progress so quickly? It's indeed a good method, but unfortunately, it can't be replicated. Zhu Qiwu knew Lin Moyu's uniqueness, and others couldn't replicate it. Lin Moyu's soul was strong enough, reaching the peak of the 4th grade, Jade soul giving birth to purple. In other words, Lin Moyu already had the qualification to transform his soul. Plus, Lin Moyu's own strong will and the help of the truth-seeking art created the current situation. If someone else went in, they would probably be cursed and have no future. But even so, Lin Moyu was still in a life-and-death situation. Zhu Qiwu asked again, "You said that the Tulu realm, besides its native creatures, does not allow the existence of beings beyond the God Venerable realm." At this time, Lin Moyu clicked on the second image stone. The image stone projected a new picture, which showed the golden light little Buddha and the soul-devouring little God Venerable. Zhu Qiwu frowned, the Buddhist clan and the demon clan. The Buddhist clan and the demon clan coming together made Zhu Qiwu feel vigilant. The picture played the past, Lin Moyu deliberately provoking the Buddhist clan, causing the Buddhist clan to attack him. Then, he decisively and sharply killed the soul-devouring little God Venerable, and the golden light little Buddha was seriously injured and fled. Finally, the golden light little Buddha became a Buddha on the spot, but it attracted a terrible curse. The red curse behind the clouds, even in the image stone, was terrifying and heart-wrenching. What a powerful curse! Zhu Qiwu analyzed from the picture that if it were him, he would not be able to withstand the curse's attack. Lin Moyu said, "It's indeed very powerful, enough to kill me in seconds. Not only is it not allowed for people above the God Venerable to exist, but even the 5th grade soul is not allowed. I almost died inside in the end, fortunately, I was lucky and escaped." Lin Moyu didn't specifically say how he escaped, but it can be imagined that the whole process must have been very dangerous. Zhu Qiwu closed his eyes and pondered for a moment, probably understanding the reason. "I guess, not letting people above the God Venerable enter is to protect those corpses. Perhaps they are still expecting to be resurrected one day. It's just that they never expected to encounter a freak like you, and the corpses have become items you can use." Lin Moyu didn't respond to Zhu Qiwu's words. "This junior has a few questions, and I hope senior can guide me." Chapter 1460. Another extreme of truth-seeking art. Having just obtained a large amount of information from Lin Moyu, in exchange, Zhu Qiwu also entered a state of answering all questions. Of course, this kind of answering all questions is also limited. What can be said and what cannot be said, Zhu Qiwu is very clear, and Lin Moyu is also very clear. According to Zhu Qiwu, don't look at Lin Moyu's soul has reached the 5th grade, as long as he doesn't die, he is almost destined to step into the other shore realm in the future. But after all, he hasn't reached the other shore realm yet, the rules are the rules, and they cannot be broken. Lin Moyu asked some questions about cultivation, and Zhu Qiwu answered them one by one. The first question was why the killing law and the lightning law were expelled during the Lost Star River baptism, leading to the fact that there is no trace of the killing law and the lightning law in Lin Moyu's body now. After cultivating and comprehending the laws, most of the laws will exist in the body, and a small amount will exist in the soul. When you need to call them, you only need to move your mind to use them. But now, whether it is the soul or the body, only the undying law remains. Of course, Lin Moyu has a foundation. If he wants to, he can retrieve these 2 laws in a very short time and restore them to their original level. But Zhu Qiwu told Lin Moyu not to do this. From God King to Little God Venerable and finally promoted to God Venerable. The most difficult thing is 2 words, balance. There are many ways to balance, the simplest and most common way is to maintain purity. This purity refers to the body and soul, which is actually the purity of the law level. Purity leads to balance and naturalness. Retaining only one law makes advancement relatively easier. Alternatively, some people simultaneously comprehend 2 laws. In this case, both laws need to be elevated to the same level, maintaining a balance between them. As long as the balance is maintained perfectly enough, advancement is still possible. The advantage is that after advancement, one can bathe in 2 rivers of laws, receiving 2 baptisms, resulting in greater strength. The disadvantage is that maintaining a perfect balance between 2 laws is very difficult. Moreover, these 2 laws must be in the same tier, otherwise, maintaining a perfect balance is impossible. This is the significance of dividing laws into tiers. Different tiers and different levels represent fundamental differences. Lin Moyu's undying law is in the 1st tier, so no matter how he cultivates and comprehends the law of slaughter and the law of lightning, it's impossible to maintain balance with the undying law. If he wants to advance to God Sovereign, he can only choose to expel the two laws, keeping his soul and body pure. Zhu Tian advised him not to comprehend other laws before becoming a God Sovereign for this very reason. Because it's difficult to find a first-tier law that matches the undying law. This situation will only be resolved after Lin Moyu becomes a God Sovereign. As for how to resolve it, Zhu Qiwu didn't say. He only told Lin Moyu that he would naturally understand after reaching God Sovereign. Lin Moyu thought that this method wouldn't be too simple. He had encountered many God Sovereigns, having killed quite a few. But the God Sovereigns he had seen only possessed one law. Is it that God Sovereigns can't comprehend other laws? This is almost impossible. There must be a deeper reason. The warship traveled for a long time before returning to Fortress Number 9. Before leaving, Zhu Qiwu told Lin Moyu that the rewards for this mission would be issued directly by the Human Sovereign Network after he reported it. He only needed to wait in Fortress Number 1, and it wouldn't take too long. Judging from Zhu Qiwu's meaning, the rewards wouldn't be too bad. Information from the ancient era is too important, and the higher-ups of all races need it. Lin Moyu's discovery can be said to be of great significance. Wearing his fierce-looking appearance, Lin Moyu took the teleportation array and returned to Fortress Number 1. Traversing tens of thousands of light years, with one transfer after another, was another long teleportation. Lin Moyu knew that his second chain quest was finally completed. Area 9 to 58, in front of the Great Vortex. A 24-leafed golden lotus flew across the vast space. Golden Buddhist light illuminated the void, and a Buddha sat quietly on the lotus, his appearance solemn. The golden lotus stopped in front of the Great Vortex, and the Buddha slowly opened his eyes, looking towards the Great Vortex. Golden light shot out from his eyes, trying to clear the clouds and see the world behind the Great Vortex. But it was destined to be futile, yielding no results. However, he didn't give up. Above his forehead, a vertical eye suddenly opened. The vertical eye burst out with even stronger golden light, as if it could see through all illusions and perceive reality. If Lin Moyu were here, he could see that this vertical eye contained the truth-seeking art. It's just that the truth-seeking art used by the three-eyed Buddha was grand and imposing, completely different from Lin Moyu's Buddha Kingdom Lich, seemingly taking two extremes. Not only were the movements completely opposite, but even the effects were completely different. The golden light of the vertical eye enveloped the Great Vortex, reflecting many scenes. Not scenes of the future, but scenes of the past. The scenes played quickly like slides, then quickly froze. The first to appear in the picture was Lin Moyu. The three-eyed Buddha didn't recognize Lin Moyu, but he knew that a human had entered. This place was a certain area of the Vermilion Bird battlefield, with a large number of humans active here, so it was normal for one or two to enter. The picture continued to fast forward, then froze again. The golden light little Buddha appeared in the picture, followed by the soul-devouring little God Sovereign. After the two seemed to say a few words, they entered the vortex together. Afterwards, the demon warship that brought the soul-devouring little God Sovereign turned and left without lingering. Amitabha, according to the demon race, this is where the golden light last appeared. The golden light should have entered and perished within. The soul-devouring little God Sovereign also didn't come out, seemingly perishing within as well. Could it be that the two encountered something inside, or some conflict occurred, or is it related to the human who entered first? But that human is only a rank 3 God King, his strength far from that of the golden light, so it shouldn't be him. This place is a bit strange, there seems to be a record in the clan. The three-eyed Buddha pondered, searching for information about this area from his thousands of years of life and vast knowledge. But unfortunately, he didn't find it. The great world is vast, with too many strange areas. The Buddhist race travels too little in the world, and although they pay attention to collecting information, the real information is not comprehensive. The picture presented by the vertical eye began to fast forward again, and the golden light little Buddha and the soul-devouring little God Sovereign never appeared again. Until finally, Lin Moyu appeared in the picture again. Lin Moyu appeared at the edge of the picture, tens of millions of kilometers away. The moment Lin Moyu appeared, the three-eyed Buddha's third vertical eye suddenly contracted. In the picture, Lin Moyu was draped in Buddhist light. How can a human be draped in Buddhist light? This is the Buddhist light left over from using Buddhist treasures for a long time. He possesses a Buddhist treasure in his hands. Buddhist treasures rarely flow out. If he killed the golden light and obtained the golden light's Buddhist treasure, then it would be normal. The three-eyed Buddha quickly made a judgment in his heart. At this time, the picture changed again, and a middle-aged man with a seemingly ordinary appearance appeared in front of Lin Mo Yu. With his appearance, the third vertical eye suddenly closed. The three-eyed Buddha groaned, and golden blood had already flowed from his third vertical eye. It's actually a beyond realm powerhouse of the human race. How could a beyond realm powerhouse appear here? What exactly is the identity of this human who is only a rank 3 god king? A monstrous wave rose in the three-eyed Buddha's heart, and a look of panic appeared on his composed face. Daring not to stay here, he rode his golden lotus and turned into light and left.